Hi there, welcome to some breaking news within the Noah Presgrove case. Today I'm going to be presenting to you some information never seen or mostly talked about before until just recently with a recent video that I did amongst the live chat. Some key big hitters, important names showed up, whether that be Alicia Lee, Caden Press's mom, the Noah Presgroves aunt Robyn Smith, even Brooke Carter, Donna Bond, familiar faces, all these people in one room, in one night. What truly went down, what really was revealed. Because roughly in some areas, it was time to reveal what really went on, and that there's additional information that's never been talked about. Around this time, this activity, right place, right time. I've got screenshots. I'll present it to you today, and who knows what will happen next. But just as a little summary, a teaser of what could come about today, focusing in on, did Noah Presgrove really want to leave the party? Did he really ask other party goers in regards to a lift back home? Did he reach out to his father, Victor Presgrove, or did none of that happen? Well, from different points of views, Robyn Smith talks about it, the aunt of Noah Presgrove, and it could shock some of you, the answers. Brooke Carter's made some key points as well, and some of us in between, because the screenshots, what I have, I wanted to keep them raw and natural so you can see it for yourself, and I'll read through each one bit by bit. I'll point out and I'll announce which part we're at and the most important comments that stand out. But I'll also read the little questions in between what other people have had to say, just to acknowledge what other viewers were thinking at the time. And if any of those questions can be answered, cleared up in today's or tonight's video, then we're kind of like ticking multiple boxes. I can add in my own commentary and analysis and even my own raw reaction, because whilst the chat was going on last night, I could not keep up with it because I was doing a handful of other stuff. But just make it clear and known, you know what I did do. Towards the very end of my live premiere, when the video ends but the live chat is still active, that period of time, the chat will not save. You will not be able to find that ever again. And there's some key points mentioned there by Alicia Lee, Ken's mum, and what she had to say. I just so happened to get screenshots of it, and I'll add that in today. So we're archiving, documenting it all, looking at relevant information within this case, which could possibly turn everything upside down and raise more eyebrows towards maybe some that were pushing a certain, I guess, agenda concept with Noah Presgrove, which could be used to reinforce the possible murder outcome. See, in recent time, and I do want to acknowledge it, in a couple of videos beforehand, which I made, Michael Facecaz was like, whoa, Rev, are you really saying that? Do you honestly believe that there are people out there in this casing community that could be pushing the murder concept, but in unnatural ways because they're fixated on it? My response, anything is possible. In alternative ways, to do with a previous murder case, Dylan Rounds, people had other agendas there in regards to Dylan, his background, his relationships, and much more. People were really pushing and fantasizing about it, and it just so happened that when I went on their profiles and I looked at who they were subscribed to, was the same theme and concept, what they were trying to shove down other people's mouths and shove on to a murder victim by claiming that's who they are, that's who they're connected with, that's their relationship status, and much more. So people had their own little agendas, fantasies, which they wanted to shove into a case which didn't have much to do with it, if not none at all. So with experience then and now, it just wouldn't surprise me. And I did say a small minority, because you will get other people that are passionately all about the murder outcome, that genuinely believe that's what happened to Noah Presgrove. And if it's just a theory or idea, they shouldn't be attacked. Or if they do manage to get some kind of evidence or material to suggest it's murder, and it's done in a natural way, it's not forced, it's all natural and real, that should be respected too. But you will get a smaller proportion of people that may think it's murder in a slightly delusional way, and they may try and enhance it by getting a hold of fake material or out of context evidence to push it. Or they might think of a indirect event which happened at the party or with Noah Presgrove, and then use that to twist it into, and that's why Noah died, and that's why this happened, and that's why if what happened earlier didn't happen or did happen, it would have changed the course for Noah. So then it links back to your original problem of social hosting laws being broken, and we need to be outraged, we need to follow up on that, and people need to be punished. But by the way, social hosting laws that were broken a weekend before and months before, when Noah or other underage people attended, because no one was hurt, because no one was killed then, that's okay, we'll turn a blind eye, it's all fine and dandy. But this one time, now we're outraged, now we want to take action. What about beforehand? I mean, I could think of other examples. I can think of really good examples, but I don't think YouTube would like it, and some of the people would get whingy and whiny. So I'm gonna be a good boy for now, right? But you know, there's so much going on. As for the title of this video, I don't think it will do it justice, but we'll just see how it goes. I will try and refine it. And take note, the video that I did last night, I'll try and refine the title or thumbnail of that, considering who has watched the video since. What's been done has been done, but it also was a time and a place for even the likes of Alicia to respond back what she was thinking at the time. And in terms of what's been revealed today directly from the horse's mouth, Alicia Lee finally reveals the name and identity of who was responsible for leaking or hacking or revealing publicly the Dropbox material, which consisted of the private recorded police interview of Kane and Pressy in 2024 and some other bits and bobs along the way, and Partners in True Crime Part 2 never released interview with Kane and Pressy, and more so Alicia Lee, which was eventually put on the Sofa Sleuth page. So identities are revealed, shocking details coming about, explosive night, and we're going over it today to catch up and make sense. You don't want to go anywhere. Be sure to share this video as of right now to ensure that as many people learn about this, because you know, you could hear Brooke Carter's name, you could hear Tim Daniel, you could hear Robbie, you could hear some other people. Outsiders, anyone else may roll their eyes back and think, oh, the usual crowd, that's all we're hearing it from, people that weren't actually there. But what you need to acknowledge is Alicia present in chat, Robyn Smith present in chat, key people in the case, in the community, whether it be the victim's family or partygoers' family. You know, just to put it into perspective, because it's very important, if people discount Brooke Carter, and I think it comes up later in conversation today, about her being in Greece and being completely irrelevant, as I've said in past videos, it's not worth going too far like that, because if you do, well, then you would have to apply the same mentality towards other people. If you was to say that the reason why BBC is irrelevant is because she's in Greece at the time, where you could say Justin Roy is irrelevant because he was at some like camping thing, which was across a river, much further away from the party house. And then as for Robyn Smith, nowhere near the party house, nor attended, nor really Alicia Lee either. But then you go too far off the extreme, don't you? And it's like, whoa, no, all these people are somewhat important, because even if they weren't there to witness or see it, they might have been elsewhere to externally see parts. More so Justin Roy by looking at the odd Snapchat of the party. And then just in general for the rest of people, being connected to certain partygoers that did attend, or, you know, the victim's family. So they will see and hear more things than what the general public could possibly imagine. And that's why it's important to acknowledge each key individual and not to dismiss them completely. Yes, you can use the critique of, well, you weren't there to see it for yourself, so you might not know for definite what actually happened, but these people will have contacts and be able to reach out to people of interest that were actually there through friendships, deeper connections, family blood, and much more. So that's what I want to be doing today. It's very good how within a space of just one video, just a good collection of people all appearing at once. And to be honest, it was actually later on in the live premiere when it all started kicking off properly. So I've got screenshots relevant to a certain point in the video because there's probably a bit more earlier on, but I just wanted to really focus in, concentrate on the moment it really did heat up. So with the disclaimers and the heads up, welcome to those that are currently here watching this live premiere. Share your reactions and anything else in between. And if you want to answer any questions from the screenshots I'll present to you today, be sure to catch the chat box on the right hand side of the live premiere so you can respond back. And after the video has ended, or if you're watching on catch up later, be sure to drop a comment down below under the video because it will help with spreading awareness of this case and the reach of this video. It's important for as many people to see and hear all this. If you are interested in the raw video where it all came about, the catalyst, including some never seen before details which you may never be aware of previously or you may have not had access to, the never released Partners in True Crime Part 2 interview with Alicia and Caden Pressey. If you want to learn about that, all those details in like a summary analysis with no footage included, just to be safe, check my last video out, top right corner of the screen right now, up there, you'll see the eye symbol, click on it, you get the drop down box with the full playlist, the Partners in True Crime interview with Caden Pressey and Alicia, and more. You don't want to miss out. And in regards to the video last night, that's where you'll find remnants of the chat, what we're looking at tonight. So all links together, one video with another. Let's see what happens. Without further ado, we'll begin. Here we are. So this was like over an hour into my live premiere. And towards the top, Brooke Bounce Carter says, I'm not going to discuss things that haven't been talked about before, though there are a lot of things that need to be made public that will blow a lot of people's minds. So already, it just goes to show that there is still a wealth of material in the background and that maybe in time or coming soon, bits will be revealed. I mean, like last night, I said there were some things I've never seen or heard before, and that can apply to other people as well in learning. So if there's still more to come, and it's time to break it down bit by bit, it could change the course of direction or the overall outlook of the case, and possibly with Noah Presgrove, where it convinces people, turns tables upside down. But I'll just read out what other people say as well. So as for Kaylee or K-E, obviously you've heard me made a reference about that name, but when I make a reference to Kaylee, I'm not talking about the one on screen, Kaylee Dunn. I'm not referring to them. I'm referring to another person in the past, a completely different individual, just as a heads up, if you ever hear me mention the name. But this Kaylee says, Sadie, you believe you're truth girl, that's all good with me. Brooke Carter, watch y'all, Jan Fiorillo in the house. Can we name drop today, bitch? Oh, okay. Tim Daniel, ref, that's what I am talking about. He made it sound suspicious, but it was just washed off vomit. Right. The context regarding that, whether it directly links to what I mentioned or similar, in terms of Georgia, at around, I think, 1:48 a.m. Monday morning, Georgia, front patio, porch, more so the patio, sat down on the floor, hunched, leaning over, her head kind of in her knees, just after vomiting. Caden Pressey takes a photo of it, shows it to Alicia, well, sends it via like Facebook Messenger and says, Georgia sick, Georgia not well. And it does worry Alicia, which is understandable. But in terms of that vomiting, and there may have been a patch of wetness, which likely washed away the vomit by a party goer. You know, wash away the vomit. You don't want to be stepping in it. It makes total sense. Caden Pressey, aware of it or not, could well link to what Caden was getting at, but slightly misunderstood or explained later with what we've looked at since, where you add one and one together. So when Caden Pressey mentioned about being at the inside of the house at 6:30 in the morning onwards, the arrival of Renee Milan, husband, and Stephanie Milan, daughter, and Stephanie's boyfriend. And whilst Caden was doing whatever he was doing, for example, supposedly clearing up beer cans, trying to protect other partygoers so police wouldn't find out, even if Renee thought it was a waste of time. At one point, Caden did say when he got to, the outside of the house, the front porch, on the ground, there was like a wet spot. So that wet spot, would it have been the spot where Georgia threw up at? Quite possibly. Whilst she might have been sat down away from the porch, more so on the patio area where it's concrete, she could have threw up beforehand and then walked over to sit down and lean over in case she threw up any more, because we don't know the actual spot where she vomited. So the front porchway, which Caden saw a wet patch on the ground, that could well be the spot where Georgia vomited and a partygoer washed it away. And what Tim Daniel is getting at here is the way Caden Pressey worded it at the time, he made it sound suspicious, that it could have been maybe foul play or Noah's body being washed off or blood being washed away. Now, in my honest opinion, and I will try and zoom in just so we can focus in closer and you can see the text on screen. Apologies if I do have to click on and off. That's just because of the device being a bit silly at times. But in my honest opinion, I would say the way Caden Pressey worded it at the time, it could welcome the interpretation for thinking the worst, applying the murder concept, applying a form of foul play. Not that Caden Pressey worded it like that, not that he said that's what happened. He was unsure at the time. He didn't know what caused the wet patch. Could have been anything. But when it's anything, it means it's open for discussion. It's more so members of the general public that may use what Caden Pressey had said to weaponize it as a means of pushing a unnatural agenda to say, hey, look, the ground's wet. Could it be with Noah Presgrove? Caden saw it at a certain time. Maybe it ties in. Maybe earlier, that's when Noah was taken out, washed outside or taken inside, blood dripped along the way, cleaned it up, and then that ties in with the foul play and voila, ends up at the highway. That is way too much like theory based without the actual correct terminology of a idea. People wording it as more so a fact. People taking what Caden Pressey says and putting in additional words, which then makes Caden Pressey look bad, which means Caden Pressey is caught up in other unnatural stuff because some unnatural Caden Pressey supporters have jumped upon it and become a little bit impetuous. So at the end of the day, we've kind of come full circle now. I'm giving that full perspective. I know Tim Daniel says how he interprets it, Caden sounded suspicious. Me personally, I wouldn't say Caden made it sound suspicious. It's just that he didn't know at the time, so his language was uncertain but open for interpretation. And the moment it's open for interpretation and the general public have access to it, over-emotional people or impetuous ones can jump on that and get the wrong end of the stick, get the wrong idea, and then it ends up pushing the murder concept or the foul play concept in an unnatural way, and then it screws other people over who genuinely believe it could be murder or foul play, who aren't pushing as hard, but then it makes a whole mockery of the situation and kind of dismisses the genuine people so they suffer in the process. So already We're using reasoning ability to possibly link the situation with Georgia throwing up with that unknown mystery wet patch on the front porchway as a possibility. And as for Caden not knowing what caused it, or he may have washed the vomit away, that might have been because it happened at a time of when Caden Pressey had gone elsewhere or gone back inside of the house and other people cleaned up in between. You never know. Because take in mind, when the likes of Renee and husband are coming to the house, they're going to probably go through the front door, up the steps, onto the porch. They'll be stepping into possible vomit, so it might have been cleaned before that. Who knows? By someone else. It's just worth mentioning. What else do we have? Sadie. Is a wet spot because everybody dumped water out of the ice chest? That could be another possibility, but why would they be specifically dumping it right on the porchway, right next to the entrance? It sounds a little bit, I don't know, a little bit reckless in a way. It may be more sense to do it just a bit further away from the house or on the patio bit or the grass. If there's straight up vomit on the thing, no matter how close it is to the door, you're probably going to be washing it as best as you can. Twilight Star. Jan Fiorillo, where the hell did you get that information from? I've never heard her say she was there that day. So I don't know what the context of that is, but maybe we'll get to it later. That girl, Jan, you want to talk about hearsay? That's bold of you, seeing all you do is go off hearsay and what Justin Roy does the exact same thing. Just stop with your BS. Sadie, and maybe that's when they washed off the vomit. Right, so Sadie acknowledging the possibilities with what Tim is getting at. Yeah. Donna Bond. Toad, feck off. How in the hell would you know? Because everything you talk about is something someone else told you. I believe that's what you say as well. Junie. Shout out to Junie for their comments. So anyone more informed could say exactly who saw Noah walk off and the time of it. So this is where the theme creeps on in, one of the main important aspects. Did Noah walk away or not? Did Noah want to leave the house or not? Tim Daniel to Jan. Brooke talks to the girls all the time. That is as close as information as we can get from that specific side. Fair enough. And it's also important. If you get someone like a member of the general public, a stranger who wasn't even at the party, who's not even friends or connected to those party goers, then what they say will be limited. I mean, I know we've had Beauty Garumo pop in or here in the chat, of course, when they can, and they've made references to being within Oklahoma, kind of like a local to an extent, and knowing of others that may have attended the party to some extent or previous ones in the past. With Beauty Garumo just being in the area, kind of like the environment to an extent, she will still have valuable insight within the area, geographically speaking. So each person has their role in this case. A range of different people who may have not been at the party, who may or may not be connected with the direct party goers, may know of something of value in the case to provide insight. Different ways and how you look at it. But already we've got BBC talking, we've got Donna Bond as well. So it's quite interesting. Moving on to the next screenshot. Tim Daniel. No different than the likes of Alicia Lee speaking for Caden Pressey. And that's fair, because we just zoom in a little bit and we go to the top area. When you look back, whilst Caden Pressey has done the odd Facebook post and statement here, and whilst he has done the odd interview here and there, in between, Alicia has also done quite a bit of talking as well, to some extent. And in the Parts in True Crime Part 2 interview, she did just about most of the talking in regards to Caden Pressey, whether people agree with it or not. Even in the Part 1 interview, where it was all about Caden doing the talking when answering, Alicia was still in the background, kind of whispering or reminding Caden, prompting him of certain details, possibly. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're going to call BBC out, Brooke, for not being there at the party, especially being in Greece, as it's been really highlighted, and you're going to say, well, she won't know anything then. You could say the same to Alicia to an extent. And then it just starts becoming very dismissive. So the best way of wording it is, Alicia wasn't at the party, but she's still connected with Caden because, being the mother. So Alicia talking to Caden and vice versa, that's how Alicia will learn details, facts, and may memorize stuff to then relay to the general public, which is very important. Alicia also participating, being active, not at the house, but near because of the highway. Not being able to see much, but just being kind of close, geographically speaking, in the moment when it's kind of dark and whatnot. And even before that, just being in contact in the moment, real time with Caden Pressey. Whilst Alicia wasn't there at the house, she was in direct contact with Caden, who was, and Caden shared the odd photo, with Georgia throwing up. And even before that, Sunday night at 10:50 p.m. of that little video or a screenshot of, Georgia being in the background and some of the other partygoers. So in the moment, in real time to some extent, Alicia being able to witness certain aspects at the time whilst not being physically there, that makes her a person of interest in a positive way when learning about the case. But if you're going to be positive towards Alicia for that reason, you need to be positive towards Brooke Bounds-Carter. Because if anyone else is talking about the dark side, we don't hear from what the party host or what the party girls had said, and maybe the likes of Jack and some other people in between, we don't get to hear enough. They might be cooperative in the background, but they're not to the same extent as Caden Pressey is publicly. But guess what? We've got a key to possibly insight in terms of what's going on in the background. But what do people do? To an extent, at times, push, insult Brooke Bounds-Carter, pushing her further away. But I'm sure she can take it whilst it's still frustrating and not right, just like how it's not right for other people from different sides to be on the receiving end of stuff and have to take it. All I would say is, if at some point you come across a BBC or like in better, more appropriate terms, if you come across a Brooke Bounds-Carter or someone like them who just so happens to be in contact with people of interest within the case who are actually there, it doesn't have to be by family or blood, it can be through tight, close friendship. It's a way of learning there. You push someone like BBC away, you're denying yourself of learning extra details about the case, whether you believe in it or not. You're just burning those bridges down. So with what BBC says, maybe limited at times, but what she hears from what other partygoers have said who were actually there is kind of the same with Alicia talking and speaking on behalf of Caden. Kind of the same thing. So you, to an extent, you respect each person. Brooke herself says, "I've never said I was there. Lol, everyone on God's green earth has went out of their way to scream that I was in Greece." And yeah, you do get people that really push that concept. I mean, some people may push it more and be like, well, to be honest, you might have Sarah Long, or you might have Alicia more so, or even Justin Roy. Let's just use Justin Roy as an example, who didn't go down to the party house, who was nowhere near, but he knows more about the case, so we need to listen to him. But as for BBC, who wasn't there either, just like Justin, but still in contact with people of interest in the case, we'll scrap that and we'll just focus in on the fact that she's in a completely different country, which means she knows nothing about the party. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter where you are in the world. If you're simply not at the party at the time, you're not at the party at the time. But if you're still in contact with people who were at the party and you learn afterwards, that's what matters most. Just like with Justin, that's what matters. Just like with Brooke, that's what matters. But some rogue individuals along the way use the term being in another country as, well, that's like an alibi to say you have absolutely no right to be talking. And that's what people think when it comes to Brooke. But you could say the same to Justin if you wanted to be really critical and say, well, he wasn't there at the party, so does he have a right to talk? Oh, yes, he does, because some of his family or of family were down at the party and then later relayed it on to him. Okay. Well, that's what's happened with Brooke Carter as well. So why do you not acknowledge that? So it does come across as a little bit one-sided in a way at times, a bit double standards. And we keep seeing a reoccurring theme with time now, which is very unfortunate. double standards. Just like how when it came to people supporting my channel, there was a bit of double standards in which one side can support the channel and it's all fine, but then when the dark side supports the channel, other people criticize them and then call it out as being paid off. Why does it have to be like that? But speaking of which, because I didn't mention it earlier, if anyone wants to support the channel in a alternative or more practical way, down below under the video in the comment section, pinned message, you will find a comment by me with additional links, one of which channel membership on YouTube to mine, and then the other link is PayPal if you want to go through that way. With that being said, let's just move on with what's mentioned here. Sadie, you had a great time in Greece, Brooke, didn't you, Brooke? Tim Daniel, Brooke, the girls are lucky they got you out here fighting for them. 17 months and not a shred of evidence against them. Brooke Carter, yes, Junie, we know who watched Noah put on 2 different shoes and walk off to cool off. Wow. So that's very interesting. If there can be a follow-up on that in the future, like a screenshot or a comment by the horse's mouth, then that could be interesting, because this little event in itself leading up to the bigger event of Noah's outcome is important, because not everybody can wrap their heads around Noah putting on his shoe and a mismatched one. Now, I understood it really early on as a possibility. My original concept was maybe Noah put on mismatched shoes because he was in a bit of a hurry or rush to get away to cool off, and because he was drunk, he wasn't quite thinking clearly. And because it just so happened that the shoe was the same size, Caden's and Noah, that it fitted on Noah's foot. It was like, oh well, never mind, it fits me, I might as well just go with it. And you got to take in consideration, at the time and onwards, if the other shoe was never found of Noah's because it went missing or someone else took it or it was hidden at the time, just like maybe some other bits and bobs, Noah may have felt, right, I can't find my other shoe, so I'll just put someone else's on for the sake of it because it fits, and then I'll be on my way and then return back later. So with a bit of common sense, it is possible. See, in the past, when on like some kind of residential trip, I myself ended up putting on somebody else's trousers by accident. And the only reason why I found out and knew is because they didn't fit me, because my legs were big at the time. So you can if I can accidentally put on somebody else's trousers and then find out about it because they don't fit, and I'm sure Noah Presgrove, who's drunk at the time, who's not quite thinking clearly, can possibly put on the wrong shoe or just decide to put on the wrong shoe because he can't find his other shoe and it just so happens to fit, so why not? He's planning on returning back to the party house after he's cooled off so he can leave the shoe by near to Caden, no big deal. So there's that as well you gotta acknowledge. And for Brooke to say that we know who watched him put on 2 different shoes kind of comes across as there was like only one witness at least that actually saw. So who is that one witness? Which party goer is it? And why has it not been talked about publicly before? Because this whole shoe debacle, if it's simple and innocent, it probably should have been explained already by now. Unless it has been, but it's been drowned and forgotten because of all the other BS going on. But as I said, if at some point the evidence, the horse's mouth, screenshot or reach out or leave a comment below in some way, it could really help, because it would tick the list off. It would minimise in a natural way any mysteries and put it more into perspective. That, look, at the end of the day, those people who can't quite wrap it around the head or upset that Noah had put on mismatched shoes to himself, but, you know, they're aware that he was wearing mismatched shoes when his body was found on the highway, believe that there's a bit of a disconnect, so there must be foul play involved, as in another shoe was put on Noah as a form of misdirection or as a means to blame Caden Pressey, so it traces back to him, just as an example, okay? If it came out and it was absolutely proven that Noah was the one to put on the mismatched shoes, it was his own doing, well then it means from there on till his death, Noah did it to himself in regards to putting on mismatched shoes. In terms of the death, that can still be considered a mystery. And of course, Noah did not deserve that outcome. But in terms of the shoe situation, if that could be backed up, then it kind of minimises the chances of foul play. And some people will then, probably right now or elsewhere, will start shouting at me for saying that. But I'm not ruling out foul play. I'm just saying a certain element in the theory-based concept, it just reduces it just a little bit. And it's important to do so. Or if it could be reinforced to prove foul play, then that's good as well. But at the end of the day, just need to be realistic. And are we getting to that now? Maybe. What else do we have? Beauty Gurumo. I see you've joined at a tense time. No, you've joined at the right time. But the real question is, Beauty, have you shown up at the right time today? Skippy to Brooke. Did you hear about the earthquake the other day? Something else. Beauty is here. Oh, there we go. Twilight Star. Beauty Gurumo is here. Where did Sharon go? So just as a heads up, Twilight, I think Sharon was a little bit busy at the time, or was a bit busy later on doing some other bits and bobs and whatnot. Because obviously take in consideration Twilight because of the time zone difference. And it applies to me as well. When it comes to the live premieres at night time, for me, it's probably afternoon or evening time for you. So it's like a 6, 7, 8 hour time difference. So shout out to Sharon for being able to watch the videos when she can and live. But, you know, at times maybe needing to go to sleep, get some rest for the next day. All understandable. But, you know, Sharon does catch up on the videos afterwards, which is also a positive. So a big shout out to Sharon in the background. Sadie, Kay Lee with double E. What are my lies, please? Brenda, Donna, how many deputies did Jeffco have employed in September of 2023? Kay Lee says, Brooke, I think it's important that you were in Greece. You're the only one with a solid alibi. I mean, in fairness, you could say, yeah, it's true. And it just so happens that indirectly, supposedly, Brooke has photos of her time in Greece as well at the time, the relevant time. So it's not like people can blame Brooke for being responsible for Noah's death. People can't blame Brooke for being in two places at once because it just wouldn't be possible. So if you wanted any common ground, whether you hate or like Brooke, you could at least say, well, she's over there, far away, so she's not responsible, but she can still have points of interest and additional things to share onwards with the connections that she has with those in the case, if people wanted to listen. So there's that to acknowledge. Next slide. I'll just zoom in a little bit. On the top, Brooke, exactly, Tim. I'm thankful so many of y'all now see the morons and the frauds on this case. That girl, I agree and can't wait for the day to finally come. Jam, concussions can cause people to vomit, just saying. Right. So does that apply to Noah in any degree, or does that also apply to Georgia? Brooke, I did Skippy. That would be scary there because it's very small. Only 3 ways off that island. None are easy. Oh, is that in regards to some earthquake or something? Rebecca Gagliari, I feel left out. Fight anyone? Oh, careful, Rebecca. You want to fight? You're probably fighting one of the frozen fishes, which Twilight has got a hold of. Donna Bond, give me a second, Brenda. I have to name them all in my head. Skippy, Brooke, can you share what time Noah was seen walking off? That's, I think, when the real important timeline starts. I mean, in fairness, kind of, but I would still say the real timeline starts is probably if and when the side-by-side rollover occurs, because the bathroom situation with supposed footage, which has never been released publicly, is important because it could reveal the time and fill in a grey area, and there's learning to be done there if it ever does come out. Then the bedroom debacle as well. And then, of course, the walking away. So that's the way I see it. Sadie, Jam, in response to Jam, vomit was not found in Noah's esophagus. But yeah, I'm sure there was a lot of throw up out there. Then we got Amanda. Welcome. Jan, she has direct ties to those people, unlike the junior detectives on the case who act like they do. Beauty Garumo, remember, we, the public, have no clue the full details and stories. Some things have been kept to LE. It will all come out. Just be patient. This case has a lot of work through. It does this particular one. Twilight, damn Becca, don't be a Tom Petty, lol. Oh no, Rebecca getting a little bit petty. Oh boy. Brenda, put 'em Becca. Okay. So the thing is, like, in response to Beauty Garumo, as for we don't know all of the details, with that level of emptiness at times, that's where it can be filled with noise, and not always for the right reasons by people who can't control themselves, but other people that can control themselves coming out with theories and ideas. That can go a long way, because it can actually prep you to know what to expect for the future and what could come after. See, when it came to the Dylan Rounds case, there was a lot of silence on the surface level, even if stuff was going on in the background. So by planning and prepping, thinking of the possible outcomes, the concept of death and where one could be at, it kind of helped along the way, and some of the predictions that I made came true and was then reinforced by facts of evidence. So there is a possibility that at times theories and ideas, that's all they are, but they can transform into facts if they're backed up with evidence. It can work out. And what do we have here? Brooke agrees, exactly. There is so much more to this case and information that's not being talked about. And obviously, if it could ever be talked about publicly, it could go a long way. Twilight, Becca, quit being petty with me. Whoa. Junie, I'm feeling kind of unsure we will ever know more about this tragedy. Blessings to those who cared. Well, hold that thought, because we're going to learn a bit more later. Brenna, they had 6 deputies and Jimmy Williams, undersheriff, had to come all the way from Marlow? Kaylee, Brooke, there is that we again. Keith, shout out to Keith. Again, nothing is going to be solved on here with legal pending. Anything factual that can be shared would be helpful. Skippy, we know we're not OHP, so even our time estimates are just that, estimates, but they help us try to piece possible scenarios after he walked off. Exactly. And I think what doesn't help is maybe some people in the case who believed it was a certain time but then switched and changed it afterwards. That didn't help. But then someone like Renee Millan at one point that gave an estimate time, even though it wasn't that helpful, and maybe more could have been done by looking at the actual phone data. It was better an estimate. It was better the person of interest being unsure themselves, because then it showed more genuinity to an extent, and it made it easier for the general public to gauge it, instead of having to put all the trust and belief in one timestamp and then later either being deceived or it changing, then it turns everything upside down. Keith, really hope for all this was a horrible accident and no one knows anything. Jam, she basically said if vomit happened before death, it would be unlikely to tell. Donna Bond, not all those deputies were full-time. Okay. Skippy, was there any follow-up to that lady who saw a side-by-side driving around 5 a.m. as she was going towards work, which was towards south, past Terrell, and onto that casino? Yeah, interesting. And to be honest, that woman that mentioned it, it wasn't even mentioned by the horse's mouth, the witness. It was actually mentioned by a friend that just decided to mention it on Facebook casually. Not enough follow-up there, is there? But then again, what about that original situation? And I can't remember the person's name, but the female that was a cleaner who worked at the casino that mentioned onwards in the case at some point, no year given, not even by Kathy Bingham who interviewed her, that mentioned about there was 3 guys in a bathroom, one of which was confirmed to be from the party previously, and they had like a baseball cap, a hat in the hand, which was similar resemblance to Noah Presgroves, and left it on top of a bin. Didn't even put it inside the bin. Yeah, what was that all about? Because That witness that saw it, and Kathy Bingham interviewed them, the witness ended up whining and having a go at me on one of my channel videos. Do you remember that? And I did a follow-up to it. You can always check it back because it will all be documented there. Maybe we do a separate video of it in the future so we don't forget. Moving on, we've got an interesting new person there. Chris P. Bacon. We've got a pig showing up and yeah, don't worry, I can do that myself. So she's worried about someone posting pictures of Georgia online. So this is where part of the discussion came on in with probably the mention of what I was getting at in my video. In regards to, you've got underage people in terms of the drinking age, but then you've also got those who aren't even adults, so they'll be called minors, that they're at a party with more grown-up people at the age of 18 onwards, and there's alcohol about. You got the likes of Alicia Lee when texting Caden Pressey at around 1:48 in the morning after Georgia has thrown up, head in her knees, leaning over. Caden took the photo. Alicia, shocked, worried, and responded back saying, "Hey Caden, follow her wherever she goes. Make sure nobody takes photos of my niece." And Chris says, so Alicia is worried about someone posting photos of Georgia online, but Alicia will leave a 15-year-old at a party house to puke on the front porch. That's so loving of her. So I can kind of understand where this is going. I know it'll still piss people off, of course. It can be interpreted as Alicia is quite okay in having a minor at a party where they shouldn't be, all because primarily because of Caden Pressey, who's there to look over her and almost like turn a blind eye because she has trust in her own son that can be responsible and care for Georgia and make sure that she's safe. But then the moment when stuff goes wrong, oh, now there is outrage. So this is like a microcosm, or it can be interpreted as a microcosm of the social hosting laws being followed up for justice, when, you know, weeks before, months before, same stuff happens, same shit, but no outrage then because bad things didn't happen to those people that now report it because bad things happen to them now. So you could argue and say the reason why Alicia suddenly became worried and on the verge of frustration with the whole make sure no one takes photos, but from the Partisan True Crime interview, what we kind of like summarised and looked at, the unreleased one, Alicia had said that photos were taken of Georgia online, but we've not seen any proof or evidence of that. In the moment, Alicia, at the time, when Caden was there at the party, Alicia said in response, make sure nobody takes photos. And then fast forward on many, many months onwards, when Partisan True Crime did the interview, Alicia's now like, oh yeah, and people took photos of Georgia. We've not seen any though. The only ones that we've seen is from what Caden Pressey has taken. So I don't get that. It's a bit weird, isn't it? And I know some people could say, well, what about Caden Pressey? Did he really take the photo of Georgia throwing up? Well, obviously, because he was the one that posted it and sent it directly to Alicia via Facebook messengers. It was just from an awkward angle from the side perspective, whilst Caden was stood by the side, with his shoes more pointing towards her, and the camera angle being side on with Georgia looking down. So it was just to probably get into full view to really show the extent of what condition and the body language Georgia was in to, you know, inform Alicia. And that's when Alicia was like, oh, make sure no one takes photos. So it was okay for a 15-year-old to be at the party before that, but now there's a problem. But it's understandable in a way, because Alicia did say that she trusted Caden. If it wasn't for Caden, that she would have been down there immediately. So there's that. But anyway, Twilight. I thought it was 10 p.m. or so. What? When the cousin arrived or so? Donna Bond. Brenda, I'd like to know where you got that information. Jam, oh, there we go. So Jam, also known as Jam Sandwich, says, I miss Sharon. Well, don't worry, Jam. Sharon isn't too far away. Tim Daniel. Brooke, I got him walking off between 3:15 in the morning and 3:35, but likely. Oh, so the timing of Noah Presgrove. See, this is what I mean. I know it's just by default, but when people say he, him, she, her, it's just important to remember what person we're actually referring to here. I mean, it's pretty much obvious, but I still like to mention people's names because there are so many in this case. So the estimate of Noah walking away from the house is between 3:15 to 3:35. And it's Jack Newton that said 3:30. If Caden Pressey's timeline is believable, as in the private police one, that at 3:20 Noah was nowhere to be seen from Caden's point of view, would that imply that Noah had already left by 3:20? Makes you think, possibly. What else do we have? But the thing is, if Noah left at the earliest of 3:15, and based off one of Caden's timelines from the police private recorded one, Caden was supposedly awake at around 3 in the morning onwards, and before 3:20 still awake. So in between that 3:15, you would have thought maybe Caden may have seen or heard Noah leaving. So you could push it back to the latest of 3:35 when Caden has gone back to sleep, oblivious as to what was going to happen next, and close enough to what Jack was getting at as for the time of when Noah left. Skippy, Ellie, Tough, I'm sure all this is like noise to them, but hopefully they pick up a few possible leads or ideas as everyone discusses the case. Kelly, Chris, did you know Mikey was also 15 years old? Is that so? I thought he was about 16 or so. Lisa, with the teapot or kettle about to burst, Jack said, quote, Noah walked off the same time Georgia left. I just heard him say that for the first time. Wait, you've just heard him say it for the first time? What do you mean? You've listened to an interview of Jack? Is that so? I don't remember hearing this. I mean, if you was to interpret it like this and the time of when Georgia left, what? Does that mean that when people say Georgia left at around 2 in the morning, that's the same time when Noah walked away? Just like how Caden said, well, Jasmine told me in between 2 to 3 in the morning, that's the time of when Noah walked away. But that wouldn't make sense because Noah would have had to been able to make it back in order for the side-by-side rollover to take place, the shower situation to take place, the bedroom debacle as well, based off that timing. So then does it push it back that, oh, it was actually 3:15, 3:30 onwards when Noah had walked away, but if it's at the same time as Georgia, meaning Georgia left later and doesn't tie in line with what some like people like Alicia or Caden were getting at. Weird. Anyway, got Beauty Groomer there. Chris, Mikey wasn't under Alicia Pressey's control. Right. Tim, Lisa, that is important, don't you think? Right, so in response to Tim, Lisa, the quote Jack Newton saying Noah walked off at the same time Georgia left, where was that mentioned? Where was it referenced? The source. And is there a timestamp of it? Because we would need to go over it, of course. So if anyone does know, be sure to, give a heads up or something. I might even get a screenshot right now. Sorry about the flash, because it may be necessary later. Moving on. To the top. Brooke Carter. So this is where it starts really heating up. So for those that were waiting for some of the main points and events, this is where we get to it. Brooke Carter says Noah Presgrove didn't want to leave the party, didn't want to leave as in go back home. That it's bullshit. Interesting. For so long, we have been told, and people are taught in the community in general, and it's just been like a consensus in a way, and assumed by others that, Noah wanted to leave. Noah was asking for rides left, right and centre to get back home. And Brooke is saying, it's bullshit. Noah wanted to stay. Interesting. Where did it originate from, though? I guess maybe Caden Pressy's first part 1 interview, the reference of Noah reaching out to people for a lift back home. Let alone, to be honest, I think it was actually before Partners in True Crime interview when Caden had done an official Facebook post statement referencing about Noah reaching out for a lift back home. And then Justin Roy mentioning it, referring to it onwards, being passionate about it, saying, well, because Noah Presgrove wanted a lift home, likely it's because something bad was going to happen, or he felt like something was happening, or people around him, or people that could be coming on down afterwards needing to get away. I used it as a theory myself in my own videos, but I try to use control wording language, and ever since I have looked at it from other perspectives as well. And ever since we've reached that negotiation that maybe Noah, and I think it applies to Justin Roy as well in defence of him, that Noah wanted to leave up to a certain point and then realised he had no choice, no chance, so he just decided to stay and enjoy the most of it. Which is a level of reasoning ability. But now we're getting it worded as, no, straight to the point, when Noah was asked to come back to the party Sunday, going into the afternoon, evening, and as soon as Noah was there, he wanted to stay, he was okay. So would that downplay murder? Would it downplay foul play? To a small extent, yes, depending on how people base their ideas off how one thing leads to another. Because if originally, when people believed that Noah, they were told by Caden that Noah wanted to leave, and because he was denied that, that's what then indirectly led to his death. And if it's murder, he had no escape. So then people can push that and say, well, it's the partygoers' fault. It's this person's fault. It's that person's fault. If, besides social hosting laws being broken, if Noah was given an opportunity back home, he would have survived. And it just, intensifies the situation. But if Noah didn't want to leave, well then Noah wasn't running from anything, nor was in danger at the time, at least. So it kind of reduces some of the possibilities. Rebecca to Lisa, how would Jack know if he was asleep? Oh yeah, in regards to the previous point. Tim Daniel, Lisa, that is why I keep saying everyone's times need to be precise. A few minutes one way or another can really be huge. And that's true, because 2 events may not be able to happen at the same time, but the times are kind of inconsistent or overlap one another, then there's a problem. And there'll be some moments with Caden Pressy's timelines and discrepancies that it might switch and change, or it might differ from one to another. So then it kind of pushes back everything by so much, or brings it forwards by so much. And it has a chain effect of everything else that happens. If you got one event which is like a chain linked to everything else after it as a turning point, then anything that happens with the very first event will then have a negative consequences of everything else that happens after it. More so. Moving on. Kaylee, Chris, they invited Mikey. Right. Skippy. So the critical time may be between 3:15 earliest and 4:30 since Texas boys left after the search. LJ08. Logan Jernigan. Carter Combs selfie at 4:30 in the morning Monday, already back from the search, but boys didn't see his body when they drove north. Well, they didn't see... Oh, right. The boys didn't see his body when they drove north. You mean when they drove north to get back home to Texas? And in going north, that would mean passing by Noah's body on the highway. But at the end of the day, would they have seen Noah's body clearly if they're on the other side of the road in a different lane, heading on, focusing on what's ahead, not what's on the side? Is that a possibility? Lisa, Brooke, how can you say that with a straight face? Of course Noah wanted to leave. There's plenty of evidence to prove it. And Brooke says, show the proof, Lisa. No one has any. Lisa, she loves to speak for Noah. Kaylee, what is your point? Rebecca, that is an awesome point. Yeah, so In regards to there is lots of evidence to prove that Noah wanted to go home, what is that evidence? Because all I could make a reference to myself is what Caden Pressey heard and saw with his eyes when Noah approached Caden in regards to wanting a lift home, when Caden then didn't see but overheard Noah reaching out to other people and being denied. That is the evidence. What other evidence is there? Do we have microphone recordings, video recordings? That would go a long way. Moving on. Zoom in just a little bit. Twilight Star. So was 10 or 12 people present when Noah asked for a ride home? How many of the partygoers who were there at the time did Noah reach out to besides Caden? Brooke. We also have messages from Victor Presgrove, the father of Noah, saying Noah never asked him for a ride home. Now, to be honest, I've never seen evidence, hard evidence to show that Noah had reached out to Victor and that Victor had rejected Noah for a ride home. I only heard about it in the community, so you could say it's hearsay, that's it. Could have been a load of rumours and rubbish, at least from what Brooke says here, but they have evidence from Victor Presgrove saying Noah never reached out. And if Noah truly wanted to leave, and if people rejected him at the party, you would think that Noah would reach out to as many people as possible, more so those who he trusts and relies on more and is closer to, such as family, regardless of where they may be. Yet Noah Presgrove supposedly did not do that. Is it because Noah wasn't that desperate to leave, or that he just didn't want to leave in the first place? You see how it's going here? Of course, at this moment in time, by saying we have messages, it sounds hopeful. We've not seen them yet, in fairness, but if there is hard evidence, well, we'll see what happens with time and if it can be shown in some way. Brooke, Joyce, I don't believe that ever happened. Right. Tim to Skippy. That's about what I feel. That's why I want to know if Caden Pressey saw Noah at 3:20 or at 2:43. Not to accuse them, but to narrow down the time of when Noah likely walked away. Kind of getting at what I mentioned a bit earlier in regards to what Tim is referring to here. Basing it off the 3:20 timeline of when Caden was trying to settle back down to go back to sleep. At 3:20, Caden did say he did not see Noah Presgrove present. But based off Partners in True Crime interview, the public one, Caden did say at 2:43, when he was originally woken up by Alicia's call to say Georgia made it back home safely, amongst that call and waking Caden up at 2:43 onwards, he saw Noah Presgrove, I think near the beer pong table or so, with Jack and Jasmine. So at 2:43, Noah is present at the party, but at 3:20, Noah is nowhere to be seen. Is it possible for those two contrasting times to still tie into one timeline, that 1 minute Noah's there and then later he's not within a certain time frame? Or is that not possible? I mean, I'm doing it roughly in my head. Kaylee, Chris, well, if we're going to bash Alicia Pressey, also known as Alicia Lee, for her 15-year-old niece being there, then the same goes for Avery for having Mikey there. Yeah. I mean, the other thing is, what else was I going to say? Yeah, the other thing is, why should Alicia be blamed in regards directly to Georgia? Because at the end of the day, from Alicia's point of view, it's her niece, and while yes, connected by family and kind of by blood, it's not like the mother. You get what I'm saying? As for Melissa, Melissa is the mother to Georgia. So I think Georgia snuck out the house, supposedly, undetected. So why should it be Alicia's responsibility to do everything then? So there's like for and against arguments, but then again, in fairness, the reason why Melissa's not brought into this conversation an aspect is because Caden Pressey was the one to witness Georgia at the party, and Caden Pressey was the one who decided himself to reach out to his mum Alicia, not Georgia's mum Melissa, because Caden did not want Georgia to get in trouble, I guess. So it's kind of like passing on responsibility to another person, not directly the mother. So it's kind of interesting, that. What else do we have? Beauty Gurumo. I wish that everyone was more kind and not just pointing fingers to these kids brutally murdered their friend from the start. It made it to where the other half doesn't want to talk publicly. Yeah. So what Beauty Gurumo is getting at here is basically, with other people being a bit too forceful or a bit too passionate or just over the top and being full on with alternative party goers, pushing them into a corner, maybe pushing them underground to a point where bridges burn down, communication breaks down, and there's no chance of being able to hear from certain sides anymore. And some of the same said individuals later could complain and say, oh, these people aren't talking, they're so quiet, they're not doing anything, that's so suspicious. Maybe because you pushed them away in the first place. Got to try and handle it carefully. Even if you do believe someone's guilty or responsible, sometimes you've got to work with the devil to get a better outcome, but not everybody can do that. Twilight. So, did that originate that Noah asked for a ride by calling his father? Beauty Gurumo. Hell, I wouldn't either if I was them. Every time it gets twisted and picked apart. And supposedly there was a time where Beauty Gurumo, possibly on Facebook, reached out or left a comment somewhere, and then people started tearing her apart and attacking her just for her either asking a question or sharing some thoughts, which seems a little bit over the top. Chris, K.E., apparently you didn't read my whole comment. Skippy, we need to ask questions to narrow down the time, but not to accuse. And then Beauty says, hi, Ref. Hey. Moving on. Oh, this one wasn't edited properly. Never mind. I'll just zoom in. There's my face with a weird facial expression. Okay. Live chat messages. Kaylee done. Twilight. They conveniently left that part out every time. Which part? Junie. Brooke says she knows the time. Perhaps can't share that at this moment. Twilight. Leave what part out? Yeah, what? Chris. Alicia was concerned about Georgia's picture on the internet, but doesn't care that Georgia was at the party drinking at 15 years of age. So one thing is somewhat acceptable, but the other is completely outrageous. Well, from what Alicia said, Alicia wasn't pleased in the first place and was willing and, considering heading on down to collect Georgia immediately. But Alicia said she didn't because with Caden being there, she put her trust and responsibility in Caden looking after Georgia, which may have not been the most ideal thing, but it was all done because supposedly Caden didn't want Georgia to get in trouble with her mother, Melissa, at the end of the day. Okay. Tim, to Skippy. If Caden Pressey saw Noah at 3:15, we know he walked off after. There's no other way to word it, and I understand how that may look. Not my intention. Twilight, I know. The family said he wished he was there with them instead of there. Wait, what's this? Is this to do with, what, Robyn Smith or a Presgrove family member going to the movies, the cinema, and what, Noah wishing he was there instead of at the party? Is that what's being referred to here or something else? Brooke to Junie. I think it was pretty close to 3:30 to 3:35 when Noah walked away from the house. Interesting. Which would time with Jack's timeline. Skippy. We need facts, logic, common sense, but emotions seem to get in the way. Exactly. That's why I'm not emotionally connected to the case, so I can go beyond. I've come across people in the past as well, in previous cases, that get emotionally connected and unstable, and it's a complete mess. I saw it in a mystery missing person Kenny Veach case, and that was dreadful. The yapping, wailing like banshee screams. It does no good. Junie says thank you. Donna Bond, 100. Twilight, he told Robyn that. 100 what? Or is that the time? Kaylee, Chris, she was not the only minor there. Stop, you're not making sense to us. That no better. Well, what Chris is getting at is Alicia is putting herself into conversation and talking on behalf of certain people, okay, like with Caden, and mentioning how it's unacceptable and it's not a good thing if there's photos taken of Georgia then posted online. But as for Mikey Lair, people don't come into the conversation there because family or parents or whoever else connected with Mikey aren't exactly publicly putting themselves out there talking or outraged. So it's like some people put their hands more into pies than other people, if that makes sense. And to be honest, as for Alicia, you know, which isn't acknowledged enough, as said, Alicia said, make sure no one takes photos of Georgia, and Caden said, okay. And ever since, we haven't seen any photos taken of Georgia from anyone else's point of view. But Alicia said in Parts in True Crime, that's what happened. But we've not seen evidence or proof of it. So who took additional photos of Georgia then, if that's what Alicia is saying? And it doesn't make sense. And anyway, the photos that Caden Pressey took of Georgia inevitably ended up online, posted by the Daily Mail and much more. So if Alicia isn't pleased with people taking photos, then I'm sure Alicia wouldn't be pleased with Caden, or more so wouldn't be pleased with news publications and news media outlets then for posting it of Georgia. And, you know, even Daily Mail showed the video where Caden was recording Georgia in the dining kitchen area. So shouldn't that get outraged? Should that? I'm surprised Alicia hasn't reported that or got it taken down if it's, you know, if it's that problematic. And the only other thing that I would say is, if Alicia isn't too pleased with that situation of Georgia and photos taken by other people, then what does Melissa, the actual mother of Georgia, think? Is the mother to Georgia, Melissa, more outraged or less outraged than Alicia is? Makes you think, doesn't it? What else do we have lower down? Brooke. Well, Joyce, now 6 of the main kids from the party said they were never asked, nor did they hear that, and Victor said no. Well, let me just zoom in to try and understand. Where's Joyce? I know the family said he wished he was there with them instead of there. And Brooke says, well, Joyce, now 6 of the main kids from the party said they were never asked, nor did they hear that, and Victor said no. This is in regards to Noah wanting to leave and asking for a ride home. 6 of the main party goers said they were never asked or approached by Noah from the looks of it, nor did they hear about it, making it sound like it's only Caden Pressey that was the only one to encounter it to some extent. Interesting. What's this one? Zoom in just a little bit. Brooke. Oh yeah, so that's just a clear one because it was a bit off screen before. Interesting. Skippy. But you all have said Caden Pressey is not reliable, so I think the girl seeing him walk off is more trustworthy then? I can understand the reasoning that, you know, if you got Caden Pressey, who is a witness to things and a party goer, if you don't trust him and you regard him as untrustworthy, unreliable, then you should have that same approach for maybe somebody else as well then. And if not, then it seems unbalanced that you don't trust one person who's a witness, but you do trust another person that's a witness. Maybe it comes back down to who's more inconsistent with their timelines and recollections. It's just that Caden Pressey has put himself out there publicly, so whilst he's tried to help, he's not done it with intent, but indirectly shot himself in the foot, which then leads to maybe falling out of public favour or people with time becoming sceptical of Caden. If any of the party goers had done the same thing as Caden, they could have been under a microscope as well, in fairness. Donna Bond says Ace. Who's Ace? Was 15 as well. I don't understand that. Unless that means Mikey or something. Lisa. So Victor Presgrove is changing his statement too. No one ever asked his father Victor for a ride home. Stop it, gaslighting me. Rebecca to Donna. Noah told Robyn Smith he wanted to go home? Question. Junie. Alicia was a more lenient parent from what was said, didn't want the girl's mum, Melissa, to know. But I thought it was more so Caden Pressey that was the one wanting to reach out to Alicia more so than Georgia's mum, because he thought he didn't want his cousin Georgia to get in trouble. Or maybe Alicia and Caden both were thinking alike. This one, Tiggy, Killer Kitty. Oh, row, raw. We got a kitty cat in chat. Wow. Says, Avery has videos posted showing them smoking on her social media. Noah's black shorts had a burn hole from. Possibly that. Now, partners in true crime, Robyn Smith, Ashley Chadwick, did acknowledge about the burn mark in the shorts, but they said that no one was smoking like that. Maybe vaping, but that's different. It could have been a burn hole from the past from a family member if, in the past, accidentally. Who knows? If it was from the party, does it really matter? If it's accidental, maybe not. The timing of it, if there's a time attached, and if Noah's wearing the black shorts and alive and not in danger, then that hole doesn't really matter that much. Not really. The additional damage to Noah's shorts, it being ripped or torn from what parts in true crime say, even though Alicia denies it and says they weren't ripped or torn. So what condition were they in then? Why did partners in true crime say one thing and then Alicia says another, and yet they both did interviews together? What's that all about? Either Noah's shorts were damaged or they weren't. Weren't mentioned in the autopsy report because it was all about the white shorts, and the white shorts being found at the highway in the middle of the road. Interesting. And as for Tiggy the Killer Kitty, do you have a reference or source in regards to the social media, where and when, what platform? Brenda, Twilight, sadly, that was the last they heard from him. Thanks for Brooke for the info. Kaylee, Donna, yup, the girl. Kaylee, I think you're missing the entire point. Yes, there was more than one minor at the party there, but only one minor's family decided to insert themselves into the case. Yeah, I get that. Because Mikey Lair's parents haven't stepped on in or put the foot in the door. And maybe some other people along the way haven't. Even like with Georgia or Breely, their mothers, they've not stepped on in, have they? Not from the looks of it. Obviously, there have been very small glimpses of, Sarah Smith, SS, Jack Newton's biological mother, that has spoken out to a very small extent, but in a controlled way and in an understanding way, such as when countering the likes of Sarah Long when she was a little bit cold, and Sarah was like, "Whoa, that's going a bit too far, that." Interesting. It does heat up more later. I'm just acknowledging as much as I can amongst what other people are getting at, because there was other discussions as well. That girl, Kelly, I think you're missing the entire point. Yeah, so that. There we go. Donna Bond. Robyn Smith, the aunt of Noah Presgrove, sat right here in my living room and said that Noah Presgrove called her, or maybe they called him. And he told her that he wished he would have went with them to Rockfest instead of the party. So like a level of regret. But does that mean to say that Noah wanted to leave or not? Does it push or reinforce it anymore? Not really. Because if you've already gone on down to the party and you know your family or certain family members are already elsewhere enjoying other moments, then you're not going to be able to stop it anyway. You might be thinking, I wish I never came back, but I'm here now, so it is what it is. So there could be a bit of regret with Noah Presgrove, but he wasn't in control, nor was he aware of what was going to happen next and onwards. Same with some other people who are, out of control or out of reach. Interesting. So that's what Robyn Smith visited Donna Bond physically in real life and mentioned either they or Noah called one another, and Noah mentioned about he wished he never went to the party. Is that in regards to Sunday, going into Monday, or Saturday? Is it Noah wished he never returned back to the party, or more so, Noah wished he never went in the first place, if that can be cleared? Interesting. Tammy, I thought Noah called his dad and Victor didn't answer. Oh. Kaylee, Lisa, we see through them, no worries. Rebecca, Donna, that kills me. So it's like that what if. If Noah Presgrove originally thought, you know what, I don't want to go back, I'm actually going to go with my aunt, I'm going to go with whoever else to Rockfest, but Noah would still be alive till this day. It doesn't really have much of an impact on whether Noah was going to leave or not, because if he wanted to leave, where would he actually be going though? And do we have enough full-on evidence of that? Because there's counterpoint since. But in terms of just this concept of Noah not wanting to head back, return back to the party, he would still be alive till this day. But as I've always said, depending on the true cause of death in the case, and like with past cases back then, if it was a murder, and that's only if it's a murder, you might save yourself this time round, but it doesn't prevent the inevitable in the future. If it's murder and it's by certain people you know or around in the environment you're in, for as long as you spend living in that environment around those same set of individuals, at a later time, you could be next on the list. So whilst you might have avoided it now, you might have 8 lives remaining. You know, it's going to catch up eventually, and it's a dark way of looking at it, but like with the Dylan Rounds case more so, because that was reinforced and proven with hard evidence, absolute hard evidence of murder, that even if Dylan Rounds didn't return or didn't go to the Grangeshed property early hours Saturday morning, 28th of May 2022, he wouldn't have been shot by Brenner. Oh, he'd be still alive till this day? Well, only up to a certain point, until Noah went back to that farm and caught Brenner in a bad mood or for other reasons and then died later. If Dylan Rounds never returned back to that farm, went back to Idaho, continued life over there, and never returned back to that area or never was in the presence of Brenner ever again, yeah, then Dylan would still be alive onwards. You get what I'm saying? There'll be certain factors which will loom over you, and if you never make change to those factors, those danger factors, the chances of death will always be hanging about you, over your head. As for the Noah Presgrove case, it's not finalised in terms of murder. It's still like a theory and a concept, and even if police have ruled out murder, people in the community that just believe it to be a murder outcome, you know, in a non-harmful way, in a natural, genuine, theory-based idea way, even if people don't agree with it, you know, it can be open for discussion in some areas, but let's just focus on Jam to Skippy and Tim. Has some done really good timelines. I'm trying to figure out the portion of the timeline where the designated driver known as Carter Combs took one girl home only 2 to 3 miles away. And this was asked about in Caden Press's interview. Oh, right. Which direction? 2 to 3 miles away. Would that mean the girl came from the town of Terrell or not? Chris, the comment wasn't about minors there. The comment was about Alicia's concern in regards to Georgia. It's clear Alicia's priorities are with Georgia are only for her benefit. Why is that? Is it because if she doesn't show concern but she allowed Georgia to be there, or there was a lack of leniency, it makes her look bad? I mean, in fairness, at the end of the day, it shouldn't be all Alicia's responsibilities to an extent, because the actual mother, Melissa, is the one. But it's fair to say Melissa was in the dark, left in the dark up until a certain point. So Melissa could only do so much there. If it is true that besides Caden not wanting to grass on Georgia, the mum, and getting in trouble, that Caden took a different approach and Alicia saw it the same way in a lenient way, you could say the priorities there could be questioned and it could make someone look bad to an extent. Okay, so we've got some additional comments. We'll acknowledge them anyway. Skippy, the boys participated on the search. What, Texas boys or boys in general? Which started after 3:41, since Jasmine was part of the search, and that's when she posted her Snapchat. Yeah, so, Skippy, the way I interpreted it as for when the search started, as like a rough estimate, I combined Caden Pressy's account of stuff, what we saw some days ago in my live chat, where Caden said Noah Presgrove, when drunk, would normally walk away to cool off for about 30 minutes. So if it's true that Noah left the house at 3:30 in the morning, 30 minutes of, cooling down, enough time then for a bit afterwards, partygoers think, well, 30 minutes have passed by the regular time. He's not come back yet. Maybe that's when we should start searching. And 4:30 being the time of when they made it back to the house unsuccessful. So I would say, if you add it all up, 3:30 when Noah left, 30 minutes as usual, spending to cool off would bring it up to 4 in the morning. And then 4:30 being when they've returned back from the search, that means a 30-minute search took place. Well, that's at least how I interpret it. If the search started just after 3:41, that would be an abnormality, because why would the search start so early when it's still in the appropriate time frame of what's deemed acceptable and normal for Noah to still be away cooling off in that 30-minute period? That's what would stand out. Why would they be more concerned this time round and so early on? Like if a person said, I'm going outside to camp for one night, 2 to 3 days or just a bit over passes by, and then there's worry and concern. That's normal. That is what you would expect. We've not had any contact. It's gone past that point. Action needs to be taken. If a person went out camping and said, I'm going to be outside for about 5 hours and then I'll return back home. If after the 5-hour mark, 10 minutes later, that's when people started reporting the person as missing, you could say, well, that's a bit odd. Give or take a bit of time. Why are people jumping ahead so quick? It just stands out just a little bit more. Anyway, Jam says, I have different timelines, even from Brooke Bounds Carter, on this subject. Can anyone help? Is that Sam? Mitch, just because Noah told his family he wished he was elsewhere means nothing. He could have had fear of missing out, FOMO. Did the family say he asked for a ride, yes or no? Okay, so Mitch is putting it into perspective here, kind of like how I was earlier. You could be at a party and then you find out someone or some people are doing other stuff which you would want to do. You got that fear of missing out. Oh, I wish I could have been there. Yeah, and that regret as well. But likely it's probably too late now to even go where they are. And if so or not, does it actually explain whether Noah actually wanted to leave or not? No, not at this moment in time. But let's just continue reading. Chris, Kaylee has tunnel vision. She has one narrative. Junie, Skippy. That's quite important. What time did Texas boys leave? Did they drive on that highway? If only we had Stevie Howard's original comment in regards to the timing of when Texas boys left. Because from what I remember reading, the time of when Noah Presgrove left the house to walk away, shortly afterwards, it was seen on CCTV camera footage that Texas boys left shortly after Noah. For what reason? I don't know. Am I bullshitting? Well, I hope not. I'm just simply relaying what I remember seeing, what Stevie Howard said once on Facebook in a comment. I've reached out to other people since, and they say they remember it, but it's impossible to find, and supposedly it's been deleted as well. What the hell's going on there? I bring it up every now and then because it's important, but people don't seem to mention it. And as for, well, how would we even know the time or, when Texas boys left before or after now? Because Stevie Howard said the cameras weren't working at the property, but they decided to work when the Texas boys were leaving. Intermittent? I don't know. Sounds a bit dodgy, but that's what I remember. Kaylee to Twilight. Talking about Alicia Lee's parenting does nothing for Noah. It might just be the theme and, to put in perspective the different attitudes of people more so. Skippy. Logan Jernigan and Carter Combs took that selfie at 4:30 Monday morning after they were back from the search. Yes. So when you tie it in line with what Caden Pressey says is true about 30 minutes being away in regards to Noah cooling off, and then past that point rounding it up to 4 in the morning, that 30-minute time difference, a 30-minute search may have took place. Donna Bond. I'm sitting here watching these comments go by, trying to keep up, wondering where some of this shit has come from. Uh-oh. Kaylee. Chris, nope, you're wrong. Imagine that. Twilight. I think Alicia's only narrative is Noah justice and seeing it from all points of views. Oh, no. I think Twilight is referring to Kaylee here. It's just because when you say her, who's her? Alicia or Kaylee? But I think it's more so to do with Kaylee. That Kaylee's narrative is justice for Noah and from the different points of views. Rebecca. Chris, don't act like you know about her narrative because you don't have a clue what she believes. Donna Bond. I've never heard the family say that Noah asked for a ride home. As for the family, I'm assuming Donna is referring to Noah Presgrove's family. Have never mentioned about Noah wanting a ride home or reaching out. Interesting. What else do we have here? Donna. Does it mean they didn't say it? I've just never heard it. Skippy. Texas boys are assumed to have driven north instead of south towards Texas, since they were not seen by the southern CCTV cameras, which would be the Mini Mart, the town of Terrell. Was it Stevie Howard and Jack Newton that were all about the cameras in the early days? But were they saying that no traffic passed on by, or that traffic did pass by, but only a handful? I can't remember personally right now. But what Skippy is suggesting here is like what Tim Daniel has said as well previously. Twilight. Donna, I'm not certain where the rumour came from that Noah was asking his family for a ride home. Oh, just like the rumour of Noah reaching out to Victor Presgrove and Victor denying it, whilst Victor is with Caleb Newton drinking, supposedly. See, at the end of the day, the reference of Noah reaching out to family for a lift back home and it not working out, I only heard about that in the community. I did not hear about it by a person of interest, nor someone who was at the party, nor a family member. So just apply this level of reasoning to an extent for other people in the case, that whenever you're like, oh yeah, I don't actually remember where it came from or where it was originated, well, that's probably a bad sign, isn't it? Probably more likely a rumour, unless it's just very abstract or obscure and was only mentioned ever once by a person of interest. So at this magnitude probably would have been mentioned more than once from a key person. But I mean, it's just like it's been loosely mentioned by someone created it falsely in the first place, or another person misinterpreted it somehow and then worded it Chinese whispers, then more people just latched on, believed in it, nodded and thought, oh yeah, that's the truth, and stuck with it ever since. And it's like, the source is trust me, bro. Is that good enough? Probably not. Kaylee, yes, and being here for those reasons seems to piss a whole lot of you off. Tim Daniel, Brooke, if I had to narrow it down, I would guess between 3:30 to 3:35 the time for the shower and Raymond and teabagging, etc. Wait, what? I would guess 3:30 to 3:35 for when the shower took place. But I thought Tim Daniel was mentioning how like 3:15 to 3:35 at the time of when Noah had walked away. Could a shower have taken place in between 3:30 to 3:35 and eating and teabagging and leaving the house? It seems like a very tight time frame window. I mean, at least from Caden Pressey's timeline, even if it's a little bit questionable, if it's true that the side-by-side rollover occurred or the after effects occurred at 2:40 in the morning, if that was true, which to be honest, and I'll tie it in with what Tim Daniel is getting at, it's important to know 3:43 or 3:20, which one's correct? Well, no, not 3:43, 2:43 or 3:20, which one's correct, which one's wrong? It's important to also acknowledge that the 2:43 is the time of when Caden was woken up by the call, and 3:20 was the time of when Caden went back to sleep. But both those times were not muttered within the same interview. They were told on separate occasions, making it sound like two separate things, one right, one wrong. And considering that in the first interview, when Caden mentioned about the time of being woken up at 2:43, that 3 in the morning was when he went back to sleep. But in the other interview, the private one, that he actually went back to sleep at 3:20, so 20 minutes later. And 20 minutes later, Caden said he didn't see Noah there. So where was Noah? That's important. But it's also important to refer back to, well, depending which timeline, which one's correct, which one's not, and if it can't intertwine with one another either, well, then that 2:43 timestamp of when Caden woke up and saw Noah in the kitchen or dining area cannot be possible if it's true that in the, I think, private interview, that at 2:40 in the morning is when Noah was outside. The after effects of the side-by-side rollover, from what Caden saw from someone else's point of view that recorded it, captured it, was showing it much later on. But it gave the timestamp of 2:40, Noah outside. You're telling me that 3 minutes later, when Caden actually woke up after it, Noah was magically inside the house, clean, normal, fine and dandy? Either the side-by-side rollover timestamp is wrong, or the 2:43 timestamp is wrong. That's what I would say. They can't both link together. Noah can't be in like two places at once, or the side-by-side rollover, and then 3 minutes later, magically inside the house, clean, no sign of injury, no sign of demanding for a wash. If we had the timestamp of the shower, you could compare the time difference there and see which one's more right and more wrong. That's an alternative. Very interesting. Brooke, Donna, when did he call her and tell her? What? Junie, I wonder, would one stay off the highway if intoxicated? See, yeah. What I was getting at was, if you had Noah Presgrove, if he had taken his own vehicle down to the party house on Sunday, he would have had an opportunity, if he wanted to have left, in his own vehicle. But if he's drunk at the time, if he had his own vehicle, he would have been a danger to other people on the road and may have put other people's lives at risk. So the inevitable of death could have still happened if he crashed, but he could have also taken other people out of life as well, which would have been worse. That would have been, though, a measure and a good scale to see whether Noah truly wanted to leave or not. I know people are saying it's bullshit and whatnot, but, it's just another measuring tool. If Noah had his own vehicle at the party house, if he really, really wanted to leave, despite being drunk, despite not being able to control the side-by-side, maybe it rolling over because he was drunk, that could be a measure to say what would have happened on a bigger magnitude scale if he had got in his own vehicle and was down the highway drunk driving. It might not end too well. Rebecca to Skippy. Unfortunately, we don't know 100%. Brooke, correct, Skippy. What? Texas boys are assumed to have driven north instead of south. Oh, yeah, okay. Sadie. Crispy. Well, Kaylee said she's going to get a list of Jack's inconsistencies. We will see. Has never happened yet as long as she puts screenshots with it. Kaden Pressey's outnumbers everyone's together in terms of inconsistencies. It's also because Caden Pressey has put himself out there more publicly than most people have. So if there was a form of damage control, damage limitation, if Caden Pressey kept quiet, let's put it that way, people wouldn't be as critical or sceptical of Caden, would they? Kaylee, imagine being here for Noah and no one else. Shaking my head. Donna Bond, Chris, do you know Kaylee or anything about her? I wonder. This one. Mitch, so the only person saying Noah wanted a ride is Caden Pressey, and Brooke says, bingo. So does that mean that Caden Pressey is pushing a false agenda? And why would Caden do that? Why would Caden be making it out that Noah was so desperate to leave the party house? How does Caden benefit from that? Is it a means of saying that, oh, because Noah wanted out of the party and location, and because he didn't get what he wanted, he ended up dying, so it means shame on other partygoers, and it highlights a dark focus. But for Caden to involve himself by saying, well, Noah reached out to me and I denied him, well, Caden would be involving himself into that pool of Noah being left disappointed and rejected. So would it really tie in line with Caden making it up? Is it possible that Caden is being true in what he says as for Noah reaching out directly to him, but in terms of anybody else, Noah did not? Could there be a bit of compromise in which Noah Presgrove might have possibly thought for a second of wanting to leave, with the mind in the back of his head, such as fear of missing out from that Rockfest thing with his Aunt Robyn and anyone else? And he's like, I wish I could get a lift back home. Could you possibly do that for me? Could you take me somewhere else? And Caden's like, nope, I can't, I'm drunk. And that's why Noah says, okay, I understand, fair enough. And then left it as that. Is it possible that Noah from then just accepted it and did not ask anybody else? But Caden did say he overheard Noah reaching out to other people. Caden had said in the past, in the interviews and whatnot, that Noah was reaching out to multiple people back to back. Can I have a ride? Can I have a lift? Nope. But then, more so in recent time in the chat, Caden said he did not see it take place. He only heard it. There's that. Donna Bond says, I'll have to go back and look through the messages, but I remember all of the sitting here talking about Kim. Who's Kim? Saying that he wished he would have went to Rockfest with them. Is that to do with Noah? Andrea, the rumour asking for a ride home is obvious to me why it was started. Snapchats tell a different story though. Why? Did his Snapchats tell a different story because it shows Noah having a good time? Not like he wants to leave it. He's actually enjoying it in the moment and doing okay. Andrea, if you want to share your thoughts, why do you think the rumour was started and who would it benefit? We've got Nana. Hello everyone, I'm late again, had to drop the grandbabies, okay? Kelly, Donna, no they don't. None of them know me or what I think. They just tell themselves what they want to believe. And here we go, Robyn Smith. The Robyn Smith has made an appearance right now. Noah Presgrove's aunt. Robyn responds to Donna, I've never been inside your house. Well, that's a good start. Noah did text me on Saturday saying he wished he had come to Rocklahoma with us that weekend. Okay. Well, here we go. This is what was needed. But it's just a bit unusual. So Donna Bond says Robyn Smith went round to Donna's house and they were talking about the situation physically. And then Robyn Smith says, Donna, I've never been to your house. What is going on? Why would you say... What? Well. But in terms of the concept of Noah wishing he was elsewhere instead of the party, seems to be somewhat consistent. But the fact that Robyn says Noah texted them on Saturday being the day which Noah first attended the party and came on down to, saying he had already wished he would come to Rocklahoma. With that being said, you could interpret it that if Noah Presgrove had a fear of missing out, if Noah Presgrove deeply regretted his decision going to the party on Saturday and wished he could be with his family members elsewhere, well then, when Sunday came around, Noah by then still had a chance or opportunity to just not return back to the party by then. You get what I'm saying? If you're there Saturday at the party, which Noah was, throughout the day and you're thinking, oh, I wish I could be elsewhere, well, Noah had the choice. Noah had his own vehicle on the Saturday. Noah drove down to the party house in his own vehicle on Saturday. If Noah also texted Robyn Smith about, you know what, I wish I could be where you're at Rocklahoma. It sounds so good. I wish I was there. Well, just go, supposedly. I don't know how it quite works. I don't know if you need access at a certain point. If you're allowed in early or late, so there's like a deadline or a cutoff. I wouldn't know personally. But if this event, Rocklahoma, started on Saturday, went into Sunday, well then you can see it yourself. This one comment by Robyn Smith indirectly could be interpreted that Noah Presgrove, although wanting to be elsewhere, he had the choice to be, maybe. If it started on Saturday, that's before the whole talk of Noah wanting to leave and go back home, in a sense. See, the action of Noah wanting to leave and go back home can be a completely separate reason to wanting to be elsewhere. But wanting to be elsewhere, oh, well, it's too late now, can't be there. And then the urge of, oh, I just want to be at home now, that's something completely different. But we haven't maybe seen enough hard evidence or enough consistent evidence for other partygoers to back it up in regards to Noah wanting a lift back or reaching out to other people. It's only Caden that's done all that talking, which is unfortunate. Where's the consistency from other people? But like, just in my own interpretation, it's not a good one, okay? But this is just my thoughts, that Noah Presgrove drives down to the party house on Saturday. He remains there till Sunday morning. In between all that time, Noah may have wanted to be elsewhere. He had his own vehicle. He could have left the house at any point to head on down to Rocklahoma if it was accessible at the time, providing, because I don't know completely as for access, money and cost and tickets, whatever. But if there was a will, there was a way. So Saturday it started. Noah wanted to be elsewhere but decided to be at the party. Sounds like a personal choice to me. And even if it was a regret, you know, a bad choice, a bad decision, well, okay then, Sunday morning, eventually after breakfast, Noah leaves and goes back home in his vehicle. He made that choice. Then being convinced to head back to the party house later into the afternoon of Sunday, making that decision. So before that, Noah had a couple of chances to possibly go to Rocklahoma. Possibly. It depends on the access and the timing of it and how long it lasts. From what Robyn Smith says here, it was that weekend, meaning Saturday and definitely Sunday. For Monday, not too sure about that. So if Noah Presgrove had multiple chances, multiple choices at some point to go elsewhere where he wanted to be, but instead he decided to stay at the party, it sounds like more of his own decision to an extent. Could be wrong, but that's how I interpret it. Jan, Kei, there are those of us who only care about Noah and his family with not other bias. Right, so I think what Jan Fiorillo is saying here, that there are people like us. Jan is referring to herself for caring about Noah and Noah's family, that Jan is not a biased individual. Okay. Do other people agree with that and whatnot? We've got Tim Daniel. Jarl Victor Presgrove told Denise, is that Denise Smith, the grandmother of Noah, in person, that Noah never called him. That is huge. Noah looked happy to be there. And if Noah looked happy to be at the party, despite wanting to be elsewhere, despite possibly having multiple choices to be elsewhere, but remaining at the party, it's interesting. It's interesting, isn't it? So Victor Presgrove told Noah's grandmother in person that Noah never called him. Do we have evidence, proof, hard evidence, screenshots of that? Or not? I don't know. Moving on. What do we have here? I probably should turn the light on. It's getting a bit dark in the room. Brenda. Hi, Robyn. Thank you for clearing up lies. Donna might have been Ashley here. Oh. Right. Oh, right. So I think Donna Bond is referring back to Robyn Smith, in which Robyn Smith said, I've never been to your house. And Donna Bond earlier was saying, Robyn Smith came to my house. Now, Donna Bond is saying, oh, maybe it wasn't Robyn that came to my house and told us about it. It was actually Ashley Chadwick, the cousin of Noah. Oh, bloody hell. Beth Rose. Hi, everyone. Hope all is well. Jan, laughing my ass off. To what? Skippy, Noah's mom, I think Noah's mom's called Casey Smith, was mad at the father, Victor Presgrove, for not picking Noah up. Was she told Noah had called his dad for a ride, or did she know from Victor that Noah tried calling him? Or is it possible that the mom was mad at Victor for other reasons, not directly because Noah calling or reaching out to Victor, but Victor just being unavailable? So there was that blame game, just like the supposed blame game between Carter and Avery on the front porch of, you're responsible for Noah walking away, and so on, that other people interpreted it online with the mother calling out Victor in a different way, in an unnatural way, and that's how the rumour started about Noah wanting to leave and how Noah was inquiring about reaching out to Victor. Is that how a possible rumour came about and the general public misinterpreted what the mother was getting at in the first place, and then it all went downhill from there? Maybe. Twilight. Well, Jan Fiorillo, then stick with Noah and his family, not the drama BS of lawsuits or whatever. Not all of us are biased. And I guess that other YouTube channel as well, which has Obsessions with Me, which some people go over to bow down and support, as we've seen ourselves. But that aside, Tim Daniel says to Robyn, Robyn, did Victor Presgrove confirm that Noah never called him for a ride? Thanks for being here to set the record straight. Kaylee, Jan, that would be me, being my reason for the last 15 months. Oh, justice. Skippy, Victor didn't deny it unless there were more text we didn't see. Tim Daniel to Skippy, he did just last week. Whoa, only just last week it's been explained. I wonder. Kaylee says that's not true. Beth Rose says, Skippy, I recall that as well. Kaylee, not saying he didn't say that to Denise. Jan Fiorillo says, now, Joyce, also known as Twilight, what is said in private was not meant for the public, but you know that. So Jan is telling off Joyce Burgow, from the looks of it. Okay, so Robyn Smith does respond. Get ready for this in a second. Donna Bond says, don't get shit twisted. Toad Robyn can't save you this time. Is that in response to Jan? Tim Daniel, okay, so now Noah's dad, Victor, is lying. He has his phone records, I'm sure. Brooke Carter to Skippy, we have messages, proof from Victor Presgrove saying he wasn't called. Basically, proof that Noah never reached out to Victor. Interesting. Then we got Beth Rose. Robyn Smith responds, I've only ever heard Noah was looking for a ride home on Facebook. No one has ever told me this in person. Okay. So, what Robyn Smith is getting at here is that supposedly from rumours and hearsay online, that's how Robyn Smith came across it on Facebook, that discussions came about by strangers online talking about Noah wanted a ride, was looking for a ride back home. And an actual Noah Presgrove family member says, no one has ever told me about this in person. That says a lot, doesn't it? Interesting. So it's kind of reinforcing the possibilities that Noah wanting to leave in general is a complete rumour. That's how it can be interpreted here. Whilst, yes, you got Caden Pressey, who's a witness at the party, who's saying that, at the end of the day, Noah reached out to me for a ride, wanted a ride home. I denied him because I couldn't drive because I've been drinking. Noah Understood. Then I overheard Noah reaching out to other people at the party and being denied and rejected. Oh, but by the way, Robyn Smith says no one has ever told me it in person looking for a ride home. So, in a way, why hasn't Caden Pressey reached out to Robyn Smith then? If it's true what Caden Pressey says and what he's witnessed, I'm just surprised Caden hasn't reached out to Robyn Smith about it. It's weird, isn't it? How unusual. Kaylee, I've never heard what he said to Denise, so I can't call him a liar. Jan responds, Joyce, also known as Twilight, I didn't make those conversations public. You and Donna did that. Skippy to Robyn, welcome. Sincere condolences for the immense pain you and your family have gone through. Tim says, thank you, Robyn. Nah. To Robyn, we asked Caden who all he asked, and he could never tell us anyone's name but him. And that was only some days ago as well, when Caden was like, I can't remember the people's names, but maybe it'll come back to me later. I didn't actually see who Noah reached out to. I don't know whose faces they were, but I did hear it in the background. Interesting. But whilst that in itself could be questioned, the fact that Caden Pressey hasn't reached out to Robyn Smith at any point, and Robyn Smith is in the complete dark about all this and only heard about it on Facebook, as in it could be interpreted by just general discussion. There's no personal touch. Certain more important information which maybe the family should know about or learn, no action taken there. Another form of breakdown in communication. Not looking too good. Kelly says, Tim, she's talking about herself. Click that off. Moving on. What I'm going to do very quickly is turn the light on because it's messing my eyes up. But just take notes of what's on screen right now because it does get more interesting. Okay. So it does make you think what really is going on. I'm just going to zoom in right now to the top. Skippy. Not sure why Noah's mum texted angrily to Victor then. Do we actually have a screenshot of Noah's mum texting Victor? Do we have that? That would be a key piece of hard evidence to look at and compare. Sadie, Robyn, do you remember when it was that Ashley Chadwick took notes for Caden Pressey? Are those notes shareable? Did Ashley take notes from Caden Pressey? Well, if so, how come they weren't distributed or passed amongst the family then if Robyn is in the dark about it? Once again, more breakdown in communication. Mitch, if she only heard it on Facebook, Robyn herself, then Alicia Pressey didn't tell her either. Interesting. Tim Daniel, I assume she talks to Victor as well, but yes, you are correct there. Sadie, thanks for being on here. Nah. He said he asked multiple people but could never tell us exactly who. When Nana says he said, Nana is saying Caden Pressey mentioned that Noah asked multiple people but could never tell us who those people were. And that was mentioned maybe several videos ago in the live chat. And I did a reference to it in a follow-up video, which was to do with Caden Pressey and JJ Bumpaz clearing the air, adding on extra details, which we've not heard before. But it kind of clashes with this in a way and makes you wonder what's really going on. Twilight, in response to Jan, it doesn't matter. I get tired of hearing about lawsuits and how biased people are. Robyn Smith says, I do talk to Victor frequently. So if Robyn Smith has been talking to Victor frequently, and it's Robyn who says, I only heard about Noah wanting a ride home from Facebook, it shows that if anything did go on with Noah and Victor, Victor hasn't said anything to Robyn, maybe because it never happened, and with Robyn being in contact with Victor and not mentioning anything else, then, it doesn't sound too good, does it? Beth to Skippy, many things that were stated early on have since now changed. Wild, huh? And it keeps on changing, doesn't it? Kelly, Twilight, I agree. This should always be about Noah. Thanks, Robyn. Donna Bond. First of all, this conversation is going on in live chat. Stop sending me messages. I never once said that he did or didn't call for a ride home. You need to go back and read the comments. Yeah, that's true. But interpreted from what Robyn Smith is getting at, on a personal, private level, no mention or no one reaching out, not even Caden, not even Alicia, in regards to what they know of. Now, yeah, you can still access what Caden or what Alicia may have said publicly online, but there's no familiar names or faces mentioned by Robyn. I just heard about it on a grapevine. Is that what you call it? I just heard about it randomly online as like a random discussion of rumours. That's how it can be interpreted. Oh, we've not got to the bit where Alicia shows up, because later on, right towards the end of the video, Alicia Lee pops out of nowhere, so we'll get to that. Brooke Carter to Skippy. I'm sure she was being told things from a certain person that likes to push lies, and she believed him. Wait, when you say I'm sure she was being told things from a certain person, who is she? And she believed him. Who's him? Are you referring to whatever Caden says to Alicia? Alicia nods her head because of a biasness, because of, mother-son, son-mother connection. I don't know. There's no names mentioned, so it's hard to interpret. Keith to Robyn. Prayers closure soon. Robyn Smith says, Ash, I guess that means Ashley Chadwick, Noah's cousin, met Caden Pressey back in October, and he, Caden, shared his experience from that evening with her. She told Madison, Noah's sister, Madison Rawlings, Dalen Presgrove, the brother, and me about it. I met Caden for the first time at the Noah Presgrove Memorial Car Show. Right, so Ashley Chadwick met with Caden Pressey, possibly notes made, then shared on. Okay. And then she told, I guess, Ashley Chadwick then told Madison and Dalen and her, Robyn, about the details. But for Robyn Smith beforehand not to mention Caden mentioning about Noah wanting a lift back, does that mean that when Ashley Chadwick met Caden Pressey back in October, Caden mentioned nothing to Ashley about Noah wanting a lift back home? Because if Noah wanted a lift back home and reached out to several people, and Caden witnessed that, Caden should have told Ashley about it then Ashley passed it on to the others, and then Robyn Smith in the same chat would have said, well, no one told me in person about it. Can we go back to that right now? If I can find it. Just give me a second. Yeah, so look, Robyn Smith here says, I've only ever heard Noah Presgrove was looking for a ride home on Facebook, as in the Facebook discussion groups. No one has ever told me about Noah wanting a ride home in person. In person, no one has reached out to Robyn Smith about it. And yet, where is that? Oh, fuck, can't believe I find it now. And yet, Robyn Smith here says that Ashley Chadwick met with Caden Pressey in October, that Caden Pressey could have mentioned it about Noah wanting a lift back home. Considering Caden Pressey mentioned it in his interview, why not mention it to Ashley Chadwick? And then Ashley Chadwick could have then passed it on to Madison, Dalen and Robyn. But Robyn says, no one in person reached out to me about Noah wanting a lift home. So even when this conversation took place, when a representative went to Caden and got information, likely Caden didn't mention it because Ashley didn't mention it to Madison, Dalen or Robyn. Robyn's not been told about it firsthand in person, so it never happened in the first place. What is going on? This is a bit of a mess, is it not? When you've actually got members of the Presgrove family side saying this stuff, You see what Brooke Carter says. Oh, it's bullshit. Noah didn't want to leave. Noah was okay where he was. The general public could say, oh, well, we don't care, Brooke. You're in Greece. Does not even matter. You're around pigs and whatnot. Doesn't even care. But then Robyn Smith says the same thing. Oh, is this kind of like a different alternative to when you had Jasmine Milan seen as the dark side? Well, Jasmine Milan's Snapchat post of Noah's missing and the follow-up of it November 3rd, 2023, where Jasmine Milan says, well, it was normal for Noah to walk away. He normally did that. And then people's perception from the general public view said, no, Jasmine Milan is just saying that to try and diffuse the situation. What she is saying is really suspicious and strange. We can't trust what she says. Noah wouldn't normally walk off. This is abnormal. This is strange. Oh, but then fast forward onwards when Caden Pressey actually mentions it at some point. Oh, it's normal for Noah to wander off and be missing for about 30 minutes. Oh, now we'll accept what Caden says, but what about Jasmine? When you get someone from the light side and the dark side and they both individually say the same exact thing, that's good. And from the looks of it here, Robyn Smith, in a way, can be interpreted without putting words into what Robyn Smith says, as in line with what Brooke is getting at. Very interesting. Skippy to Tim. Interesting about Victor denying the ride request, yet his mom has gone through even more pain early on thinking he had. It's so sad and heartbreaking. So is there a lack of communication, a breakdown in communication where one believes the other did or didn't do something and the other one didn't respond back to say, oh, it's all misunderstood? Jan says to Robyn, did Donna Bond tell you about her early morning message from Ace before 5 a.m.? Who is Ace? The Ace of Spades? Oh, no. Junie, I'm sorry too. Heartache is awful. Lisa to Robyn, heart absolutely goes out to you. Brooke to Skippy, absolutely. Interesting about Victor denying the ride request, yet his mom has gone through even more pain early on thinking he had. Right. Jam, justice for Noah, all family. I'm with you, Robyn. Very interesting the way it's going, right? Some of the loose conversations, which we'll acknowledge. Sadie to Tim, could that girl Kaylee be Beth or Alicia? Probably, not Alicia. Kaylee, I can't watch you people be so fake to Robyn. Nope, I'm me, thanks. Been there way longer than you. Amanda, Casey, lol, Tim to Skippy. I can make a guess about who started the ride request rumour that made it to Noah's mom, but I won't say that here. Wait, are you referring to Caden Pressey, Alicia, or Justin Roy? As for interpretation, I wonder. Donna Bond, come on, Toad. What is it you're trying to do? She's not going to make me talk either. Sadie, just asking. Junie, any idea when the Texas boys left? Andrea, me too. Lisa, Skippy, Carl, thanks. All other stuff is just noise. What's this one all about? Donna Bond says, everything that was sent to me, given to me, or told to me has been turned into law enforcement. So, Toad, use your contacts and get that information. Weaver should have been able to give it to you. Carl, do you live in the area? Follow the evidence. Shout out to them for their support on the channel recently. Robyn, have you seen Caden Phone's analysis? Good question. Andrea, Robyn, is Ellie still giving you updates consistently? So, not that I can really answer on behalf of the family, but I'm sure what I remember seeing at one point, the grandmother said something about contact with the police hasn't been great or there's not been many updates. Maybe that's changed since, but that was like a few months ago. Beth Rose, Katie, agree. Many sing a different tune when, Robyn's not here? Justice for Noah and should only be one side and that's Noah, period. Done. I know that me giving Noah a voice bothers y'all so bad. I'm not going to go away, so get over it. Skippy to Tim. Don't guess it'll open up yet more arguments and start more name calling. Well, I think I've already mentioned some names already. Oops. Victor said Noah didn't call him. That should put that question to rest. It should, but it would be nice if there was like a screenshot or a message of it to confirm as hard evidence. Jem to Donna. I believe you too. I believe you handed everything over. Okay. And then Jam says, Donna Bond is my spirit animal. What, a toad or a waffle? Where are we at as for transformations? And here we go. We've got Robyn Smith once again. Important moment. Robyn says, so many people were horrible to Trooper Wright and Kathy Bingham, maybe, all over all platforms. People harassed, threatened and accused them of atrocious conduct. People ripped into them from trying to find the truth, and I do not understand why. So as for Trooper Wright, I've never heard of him before. Why did people tear into Trooper Wright? Why? What, were people falsely accusing him of being paid off or being a corrupt police guy in the case and covering for others? Is that the typical story? As for Kathy, if we're talking about Kathy Bingham, well, there's been some points and mentions there which we could get to later. Tim Daniel, I drove through Oklahoma 23 years ago, beautiful place. Okay. Sadie, I know it's very upsetting, Robyn, that they're not supporting law enforcement when they're your right-hand man. Chris, Kelly, if you were here for Noah, you wouldn't be concerned about my comments about Alicia. Brooke, very upsetting. Trooper Wright is a great guy. Skippy, please, no insults today on the chat. Miss Robyn is here and we need to respect her and fellow chatters. Donna Bond, oh wow, Twilight. Becca, y'all seen that, right? Wow. Sadie, and Kathy has done everything for the family, people just like the highway patrols have. If you can't respect them, you can't respect the family, in my opinion. Well, the thing is, with Kathy Bingham, Kathy did create that Facebook post calling out Caden Pressey after the interview was leaked public, where Kathy said, well, no, I don't have a photo or I don't have a video of that. That doesn't exist. I didn't show anything. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. And then Kathy ended up then saying to publicly, you know, is it normal for Caden to leave the highway, then get back to the party house and then turn on TV? Is that what a person normally would do after hearing about your friend has died and you've seen it all? That was a bit unprofessional by Kathy Bingham, if we're referring to the same Kathy. Because Kathy, when calling out Caden and showing a form of doubt and questioning there, completely disregarded the likes of Brylan Sweat, who's somehow connected to her by family. Completely disregarded Isaac Rojas and Mikey Lair, who all three of the guys went to bed. If you're going to call out Caden for returning back to the house, then turning on TV as suspicious or not normal, well then you should be questioning, oh, is it normal for the guys to see a dead body, be upset, go back home, well, no, go back to the party house and then just sleep it off like nothing happened? What? You shouldn't be able to sleep, you shouldn't be able to think, you know, it should be just too much. It just sounded a bit unprofessional by Kathy Bingham. Now, in between, and probably maybe more so before the leaks of the interviews, like the 1 year anniversary leading up to that, when it came to the GoFundMe, when it came to Robyn Smith on the receiving end, attacked by, was it by Tiffany Shepherd or some other people, and it was back forth all over the place. Justice Page versus Army Page at war. You had Victor Presgrove commenting about Justin Roy and some other points, saying, oh, anyone over on that page, you probably should jump ship and head on over here if you want the real truth and more stuff as well. It's not good over there and the people. A lot of shit went down at the time, but also at that time, I think that's when people were being skeptical and calling out Kathy Bingham and saying that she was like a conflict of interest. And at least like what we heard from the Parts in True Crime Part 2 interview, that Kathy Bingham, from more so what Rob, the host of Partners in True Crime, said, that she's a sweet woman, she's done so well, she's like knows about the case, she knows everyone as well, connected in some way. Would that be a conflict of interest if you're like a private investigator? Should you be getting involved in the first place if you connected with different people? I don't know. But other people were saying, oh, you know, what was it? Justin Roy mentioned originally from what, there was a screenshot or a comment by Robyn Smith, at least from what's been shown, you know, by a screenshot. Not me, but a screenshot, where showed certain Presgrove family members talking about hiring 3 private investigators. Then when Justin Roy mentioned it or reposted it, rephrased it, he got attacked and said he was wrong, spreading misinformation, but he was simply relaying what the family said. There was that in that screenshot at the time, so it got a bit messy then. But yeah, dodgy times. Do we have any more screenshots? Of course we do. Let's just see. Zoom in a little bit. Brooke says, for Carter, very upsetting. Trooper Wright is a great guy. Okay. There we go. I just had to click that just to make sure it wouldn't zoom me out. Trooper Wright is a great guy. Yeah, just scroll down a little bit. It's all wrong. People online, anywhere, often nasty, egotistical. Jammed. Robyn, I saw you try and you said you believed in Ellie. This is not on you. Tim Daniel, we saw the recent emails from Trooper Zachary Wright. He was very professional despite being annoyed. What, annoyed by what? Justin Roy? Sadie, you're welcome. It's just very upsetting. Okay. Who's here? Robyn Smith once again. Zoom in just a little bit. Sadie, I think they're all very professional and they're doing everything. I'm so sorry, Robyn, it's taking so long. Just in time, to Robyn. May I ask, did Trooper Wright share his thoughts of Noah falling out of the back of a vehicle? Brooke, agreed Tim. He held his composure much better than I would have. Tim Daniel to just in time. Good question. We saw that he said that to Jack about the truck bed, and Jack told that to Justin. Yes, we've seen that recently, as for that leaked stuff. Carl, for what it's worth, and used to be really critical of Ellie, but now I want to be open to believing they're doing the work. It's complicated. Oh, we've got Brenda. Shout out to Brenda. Follow the truth. Robyn, do you have anything you want to clear up? Robyn Smith says he did not feel that Noah randomly fell out of the back of a vehicle. Oh. Right. Are we talking about the same person here? Yeah. Just in time says to Robyn, Trooper Zachary Wright, did he share his thoughts of how Noah could have fell out of the back of the vehicle which caused the death? And Robyn Smith says, Zachary Wright did not feel that Noah randomly fell out of the back of a vehicle. Because Tim Daniel says, good question, because we saw that Zachary Wright said to Jack Newton about Noah falling out the truck bed, and Jack told them to Justin. Well, at least from what I can remember personally, from the screenshots of what I remember seeing, you had Zachary Wright talking about other stuff and maybe calling out Justin Roy. But then that direct screenshot of Jack himself, I don't remember me seeing Zachary Wright, the police guy, directly say the cause of death. Just Jack saying, well, from what I was told by Zachary Wright, from what he told me, and Robyn Smith, who's been in contact with Zachary Wright, supposedly, he did not feel that Noah randomly fell out the back of a vehicle. But Tim Daniel, Brooke Bounce Carter's saying that that's what Zachary Wright said. At the end of the day, at least from my perspective, it seems like Jack Newton is saying he was told by Zachary Wright the possible cause of death. But we've not directly heard it from Zachary's mouth, or at least I haven't. And Robyn Smith here also mentions that Zachary did not mention being fallen out of a vehicle. So now we've got some major conflict all of a sudden. All of a sudden, just like that. Interesting. Could it be possible that at one point Zachary did not tell Robyn how Noah could have died, but then later Zachary then told Jack Newton instead? But shouldn't that communication be kept up with Robyn Smith there as for updates? Rebecca to Donna, I was away from my phone, but I will go back and see what was said. There was a lot of catching up. Just in time, I'm curious if he shared these thoughts with the family too. From the looks of it, doesn't seem to be the case. Just in time, but he thought him falling out of a vehicle was possible. Skippy, has anyone spoken with the Texas boys since the party to confirm if they really drove north after they left? I guess it's more so out of interpretation that, well, if no cameras showed them heading south, then the only other way is north, because that highway only goes north or south. So that's how you interpret it there. Skippy, if they were at the party, they must have been friends of someone there. Well, from my knowledge, they were. The Texas boys were friends to Avery Combs, the birthday girl. And the birthday girl on one of the days wanted, I guess, other people to come on down. At least from how Caden worded it, Sunday. But then that differs from Friday to Saturday as well. Just in time, perhaps not randomly, but falling out of a vehicle was a scenario then, Robyn? No response yet. Sadie, I had heard that they just met them down at the river that day and invited them up. But I'm not positive about that. What? That certain party goers met Texas boys down at the river and decided, hey, come along to the party house? Interesting. Amanda says to Robyn, did they feel a vehicle was involved to some capacity? I saw the transportation injury part filled or filed out on the autopsy report Sunday. Amanda summary, great questions. Wow, strangers, then that's true. Jam to Robyn, thank you. Many of us don't believe it either, and to be honest, nothing makes sense. So for people to be certain and something to be cautious of. Oh, and here comes Alicia Lee. This was like last minute as well in the convo. Sadie, oh, sorry that the girls in the guys that went down there to the river met the guys from Texas. Like I said, I'm not sure. Right, so got to be careful. Rebecca, who is the he you guys are talking about? Exactly, Rebecca Gagliari. On the same page there. Maybe it's Caden, maybe it's Justin, maybe it's... I don't know. Skippy, we're talking about Texas boys. Oh, now we are. Sadie, I think they're talking about the guys from Texas. But who were we talking about earlier where it was like he said, she said, he, him, her? What's going on? Donna Bond, he is Zachary Wright. Oh. But how much of the conversation has it been about he, Zach? There's been other he's mentioned earlier on the conversation. Alicia Lee, Caden's mum, says... It was shared by George Choden, same as the second part of the Partisan True Crime interview. None of that was ever intended to be placed on a public platform. So I think Alicia Lee may be responding more so here to a part of my video when I brought it up about the Dropbox and material within it being leaked or hacked, depending who words it the way they do. And Alicia is saying the person responsible for revealing the second part of Partners in True Crime interview, and as well as the private police recorded interview, was George Choden. Now, Justin Roy in recent time was saying George Choden was to blame. Now Alicia, kind of like the horse's mouth, is saying it herself. Interesting. First time I've heard it worded like this. Anyone, let your thoughts and opinions down below. George Choden responds to Alicia, good luck getting LE to believe you. We all saw what you did in that Covent of Six. Oh, what, in sharing it out to people? Skippy, they rode on a side-by-side with Noah when it rolled over and went searching on foot for him, but who were these guys? Wait, are you saying that Noah Presgrove during that side-by-side rollover had Texas boys with him, but then separately, at a later point, they were helping search for Noah, you mean? Right, what's this one? This was like at the very end of the chat. George, yeah. Skippy, yeah. Jam, we got the greats in the Warlight Ref chat. Who knows tonight as well. Donna Bond, welcome Becca. Sadie, oh, I didn't hear it was George that shared it. I heard several others. Brooke, good to clear up that hack rumour now. Oh, so indirectly Alicia is saying that she was never hacked. And Brooke is saying, well, it's good that you've cleared it up now. Interesting. Just in time. Robyn, when was the car show for Noah? Alicia says to George Choden, you vile piece of shit, your nose is growing. Uh-oh. Skippy to George, we pretty much agreed not to throw insults today out of respect for Robyn, at the very least for her. Brenda, Goodfellow, some of y'all need to agree to disagree and have some respect for Robyn. This is the after effects, where a little bit more was mentioned when the chat ended, which wasn't recorded. That's why I took some dodgy photos. That's why the quality doesn't look as good. This cav looks like the same shit quality at times when it's posted on Facebook, but don't worry. I'll try and read it out if it's not that clear. Robyn Smith says to Sadie, they are doing another car show at some point. Okay, a follow-up one. Brooke's laughing. Tim to Carl, Texas boys stayed until 5:15 in the morning and helped look for Noah. Really? Oh. I've not heard it worded like that before. I mean, like 4:30, that Snapchat when the girls made it back to take that selfie. I'm guessing the Texas boys made it back to the party house as well. I think the reason is why I got confused there, Tim, is because how it was worded previously, how I interpreted it by other people was after the search conducted, the girls went back to the house with some of the party goers and the Texas boys went back home. Unless people, when they meant home, as in the party house, I interpreted it as home, as in people went back to their own homes. away from the house. So, yeah. Junie, thank you, Raf. You're welcome. Sadie, that's great. Robyn, do you know when it will be? Brooke, thanks, Raf. You're welcome. Mitch, thanks for sharing. Okay. Tim, thank you, Raf. Thank you, Robyn, for sharing. Yeah. Okay. There's a little bit more on the next one. Yeah, Alicia, here we go. Let's see what's mentioned here. Just in time. Alicia, did you drive your Camaro there, or did you and your sister-in-law ride together? If so, what did you ride there together in? I guess as in the highway when picking up Georgia. Robyn Smith responds in regards to Alicia. Alicia Lee has always been respectful and nice to me. No beef there, as in no conflict. Sadie, yeah, if you ever want to sell your 2021 black Camaro, let me know. Alicia says, respectfully, most of you are trolls and can kiss my ass. I have nothing but respect for Robyn and her family. So could I just say as a quick question, if Alicia has respect for Robyn and her family, why was Robyn saying the only time I heard about Noah wanting a lift back home was on Facebook, as in just like in general? No one directly, privately, personally reached out to me in regards about it. So if Alicia and or Caden knew additional stuff, why did they not reach out to Robyn personally about knowing that Noah wanted a lift back home? Why was that never shared then? Just as a question. It could have been mentioned publicly, and Robyn saw what Caden had to say publicly on Facebook or here or there. But realistically, Caden, what he mentioned wasn't directly on... Well, it was mentioned on Facebook as for the original Facebook statement. But I'm just interpreting it from what Robyn says. If Robyn Smith worded it as in, I heard about what Caden said or Alicia on Facebook and then other people, fair enough. But Robyn's not even mentioning any key names, not even the witness, Caden, as in hearing about it, and not even privately in the background. So it makes me think Robyn only heard about it through rumours and hearsay. And that just seems like a breakdown in communication, in my opinion. At the end of the day, there could be a misunderstanding, but it's just down to poor language and wording, and I can only interpret what I see on screen, right? Kaylee says, Sadie, you're vile. Beth Rose, thank you. You're welcome. Good to know things are better since her messages. Robyn Smith to Sadie, they are doing another car show. Oh yeah, we've seen that before. I must have took the photos in the wrong order. Silly me. Yeah, I think I probably took multiple photos because I was thinking, shit, I hope the quality's good enough. Right. Here we go. Hey, Brooke, were the Texas boys on the side-by-side rollover? Tim says, thank you for sharing, you're welcome. Brooke, hey, Carl, I was told, yes, that the Texas boys were the passengers alongside with Noah, the driver, during the side-by-side rollover. Interesting. Donna Bond, going to be some interesting screenshots later. Wow. Mind reader, Donna. Already got some of them. Just in time. Thank you, Robyn, for clarifying this all. Really helps with the rumours circling in the army page and the discussion page. The theories have been insane. Robyn Smith. Yes, the Texas boys were. There is Snapchat evidence of that. Wait. If that's in regards to Carl's question, no guarantee, because Carl was asking Brooke about were the Texas boys on the side-by-side rollover, and Brooke says, I was told yes. But then Robyn says, yes, the Texas boys were. Not were at the house, but like were as in were on the side-by-side. And that there is Snapchat evidence of it. Wait, so there's Snapchat evidence of the side-by-side rollover? As in like what Caden Pressey was referring to? But no mention of the source of the evidence? Or like the platform, I mean. Very interesting. People take notes of what Robyn says there. Yes, Texas boys were, what, on the side-by-side? And there is evidence of that? If Robyn Smith isn't referring to Carl's question, and Robyn is only saying that Texas boys were at the party house, and there's proof of that, well then it's not as important. But once again, it's just down to language and wording. If it needs to be cleared up, you can do so down below. Tim to Jam, I have the names, but don't want to say in case they are innocent. Wait, what's this in regards to? Which Texas people? As in Texas people who were at the house, or more so involved in the rollover, or just in general? But Tim is like, I know who they are, but I don't want to reveal the names because I don't want them to get dragged into something if they're innocent. Okay. Beth, I hope and pray for the best. PIs are looking. Tim Daniel, 4 guys who drove a truck north at 5:15. Wait, what? And that's about it for that. So apologies about the video being this long, but as for the conversations and the chat, it's actually crazy. I'm just going to say so. I'm going to be honest with you, right? So the screenshots, what we looked at today, that was only a small part of the chat, but the most relevant, important part, in my opinion, as for all the key names talking, okay? And that was like 1 hour into my video yesterday or so. And that video was like 1 hour, was it like 1 hour 30, 1 hour 20, 140 or something, 1 hour 40 minutes long. This video today has been over 2 hours and it's only on a part of a comment section. Bloody hell. But it just goes to show how important and how deep it is. And I wanted to go over it many times and question the wording and language based off how people put it in a certain way. Look, if I was around since day one of the case and if I interpreted what one person said and how something came about and how something was posted, a lot of Chinese whispers or rumours could have been eliminated from the beginning, because obviously with understanding language and wording and how it's actually meant or what it could actually mean, and even if I don't know for certain, just give all these different perspectives, I don't think people would have rushed in as much. So I think with certain rumours or certain ideas or concepts, people have jumped a bit too fast. See, the reason why people would be adamant or believe that Noah wanted a lift back home, wanted to leave and go home early, is because of what Caden has said. And in that occasion, you would say fair enough, because Caden's actually there to experience, to see and hear it. Surely he has to be right. Surely he has to be correct. But then you see these cracks forming bit by bit, indirectly, not direct, but indirectly, like with Robyn Smith saying, well, no one told me about it in the background that Noah wanted a lift home, so I only heard about it on Facebook, And Robyn is a Presgrove-related family member, so if there was a detail as true as that and as important as it is, it should have been addressed privately in the background and before it was mentioned publicly, yet never happened. So what? Not as important of a detail? Not as much urgency to share it? Maybe because it didn't happen? That's how cracks can form. Doubt, seeds planted within. Then for Robyn to mention about the Rocklahoma, however you call it, that, I don't know, like some festival, Rockfest thing in Oklahoma, special event, get together. Noah wished he was there. And he mentioned that Robyn heard that from Noah, I think by text or something, communication-based digitally. And that was mentioned on Saturday. Noah regretted to an extent going down to the party on Saturday in his own vehicle, when if there was a chance to go to Rocklahoma to go on, may still had a chance, maybe. If you got your own vehicle, you can still make it down in time, maybe. Or if it follows over into the next day, Sunday, well, you can still have time to go on down there. Sunday morning after breakfast, I'm done here. I'm leaving the party. I'm going back to my place of living. Why not go on to where Robyn's at if you could? Maybe because Noah didn't want to. Maybe by then Noah made his bed and was like, you know what? I'm rather okay with where I'm at and the party's good enough, it'll do. But Noah was convinced to go back to the party afterwards, and it was his decision to return back. Was it his decision to die? No. But was it his decision to return back to the party? Yes. Was he held at gunpoint? No. So, at the end of the day, and with the whole Victor Presgrove situation, supposedly Noah never reached out to Victor, and there's proof of that, and Victor has said so in recent time, why would other people push it? That someone said Noah did reach out when he didn't. Are people, some in the background, unnaturally, in an unnatural way, trying to force a certain agenda? Why? What does it lead to ultimately? Why would anyone Because I'm sure there'll be many genuine people that want to believe in Caden and truly believe that Noah wanted to leave, hence why he wanted to lift back home. And it might be hard to believe an alternative perspective now, I get that. But I do feel that there might be some minority, smaller amounts of people in an unnatural way that want to push it further by adding in false info or maybe misdirect words, twist and turn them in other ways, possibly, to just try and push it over the finish line, as in, this is what really happened and it's true. But why would anyone push it in an unnatural way? How do people benefit or gain from it by saying Noah wanted to leave when he really didn't? If Noah Presgrove wanted to remain at the house, you could interpret it that if that's the case, being present where you are, you're like the people you're with, less likely to be killed by them. If you wanted to get away and escape or run away or desperately leave quick, people, outsiders, could interpret it as, well, Noah sensed danger, Noah was trying to get away, people caught up with him from the party and killed him off. So let's push the idea Noah was desperate to leave, he really wanted to leave, he had no other options, so he tried walking on foot, isolating himself, being vulnerable in the dark, and people caught up with him and killed him. So it pushes that murder theory in an unnatural way with not enough hard evidence, maybe. But to be honest, and I'm just putting this as a form of compromise, that you could still be at a place, a location, you could feel safe, you could like the people around you, but do they feel the same way? Could be a poker face. If you want to stay there, you want to remain, and you got no trouble, yeah, it might sound good. It might sound like you're having a good time and it's less likely murder because you enjoy who you're with and the environment. You don't feel in danger. You feel safe. Less likely to be a murder. But in other cases in the past, people can be killed by others, and there can be connections, as in they know who you are, you're friends with them. The people that are around you or know you could be the first ones possibly responsible for killing you. And there'll be times where it can be done out of nowhere, out of the blue. You think you're safe, you think you trust people around you, and then they literally stab you in the back or do something bad, and then you're dead. That can always be a possibility as well. So if people were to try and push the concept in an unnatural way and force it or fake it that Noah wanted to leave when he didn't, just to prove a murder theory, you could still try and push a murder narrative even if Noah wanted to stay at the party house. For as long as Noah stayed at the party house and the people who he was around, the higher the chances that he'd be more of a marked target, and then at some point, people could catch up to him without having to put in much effort. If Noah was running about all over the place, dodging and diving, oh yeah, more effort exerted to try and catch up with him, kill him. If Noah's an easy target, just chilling about, this is a walk in the park for us, can still lead to a murder. So all I'm saying is, for people that push a certain narrative, you don't have to push it in an unnatural way. You can still have the theory or idea that it's still a murder, even if Noah wanted to stay at the party. But when you start forcing it in an unnatural way, it might spread doubt within your own mind, as in what you truly believe it's to be. Like, there might be some people out there that believe it's murder, but they don't actually know or think it really is, but they're trying to convince themselves as on top of convincing others. The most annoying thing that I would say is, in the past, when people thought it was murder, that's how Noah died, and it was foul play, other people along the way tried proving it by getting a hold of fake footage and saying, hey look, here's some fight footage of the party and Noah getting beaten up, this is it, this is the evidence. In the end, it turned out to be rubbish, fake. It was of a different party, different people, different location, different time, different year, not relevant whatsoever. But what did it do? It created a lot of false hope, created a lot of trust issues, and it made a mockery of a group, or it made a mockery of the overall theory. That's what the problem is, because you'll get genuine people that believe it's a murder case, or there's a form of foul play, or that Noah is in danger. They might not have a lot of evidence, but they're just sticking with that idea. Should they be attacked? No. But when other idiots come on in like a bull in a china shop, they screw it up for everybody else and the innocent people. So the ones that rush in like a bull, they get attacked, criticised and maybe ridiculed, and then the innocent people get dragged into it as well. It does no good, that. All I would say is the only problem today is like what we've heard previously, like what Brooke has been getting at as a possibility, what Tim has been getting at as a possibility, and then the reference to what Zachary Wright has said. Oh, Zachary Wright thinks, not knows, but an opinion, believes maybe Noah fell out the back of a bed of a truck somehow. And Jack was told that, and then Jack passed it on to Justin. But then Robyn Smith says he never said that. Zachary Wright never said that Noah could have died from falling out the back of a bed of a truck. So does that mean that's true and others are lying? Does it mean that it was true at the time and then it changed afterwards? Does it mean that Zachary told Robyn one thing but told Jack Newton another thing? That's a problem. It might need to be resolved, but that can be for another time. We'll leave it there for now. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Be sure to hit the share button and we'll see what happens next. Thanks for watching. My name's Wallite Raff. Goodbye and good night.